Chapter 1583. Qin Feiyang also let out a long sigh of relief. If that person really blew himself up and something happened to Willow Tree and Yu Huang, he would probably have to live in guilt for the rest of his life. After all, Willow Tree and Yu Huang trusted him, so they went to intercept him regardless of the consequences. Fortunately, these things did not happen. He took a step forward and landed in front of Wang Yuanshan with the woman. Then, he looked at Willow Tree and Yu Huang and said, "Bring them all here." "Okay." One man and one beast replied. Wang Yuanshan hurriedly said, "Feiyang, this is a misunderstanding. Let me explain." Qin Feiyang waved his hand and threw the woman to the ground. He looked at Wang Yuanshan and said, "You want to say that everything you did was involuntary?" "Yes, it was involuntary. The Tower Master used the puppet technique to control me. I can't disobey her orders," Wang Yuanshan said. The woman stared at Wang Yuanshan and said, "Do you want to die?" Wang Yuanshan roared, "Don't threaten me anymore. I won't be used by you again. Continue acting." Qin Feiyang sneered. "I didn't act. You have to believe me. If it weren't for the puppet technique, I would have turned against her when I learned that you, was abused by her," Wang Yuanshan said anxiously. "It sounds like there's nothing wrong with it. But do you think I will believe you again? Even if I believe that you had no choice, how do you explain what you said to me when we were in Peach Blossom City? Don't tell me that you were also forced. I don't remember that the Tower Master was also there." Qin Feiyang sneered. Wang Yuanshan was in despair. At this time, Willow Tree and Yu Huang brought Shirlan and the others to Qin Feiyang. Willow Tree said, "Except for the dead Pei Yunchang and the second elder, and the white-haired old man I killed, everyone is here." Qin Feiyang glanced at them one by one, his eyes flashing coldly. As for Shirlan and the others, at this moment, they were all lying on the ground in a sorry state. None of them dared to look Qin Feiyang in the eye. Their faces were filled with fear. Whoosh! Suddenly, Zhuge Mingyang descended from the sky and landed at the side. Willow Tree and Yu Huang immediately stood in front of Qin Feiyang and stared at Zhuge Mingyang vigilantly. Zhuge Mingyang smiled. "Don't forget that I helped you guys just now. One who is unaccountably solicitous is hiding evil intentions." Willow Tree sneered. Zhuge Mingyang felt wronged and said, "If you say that, I'll be sad. In any case, I've helped you a lot. Don't you know how to thank me? I thank you on behalf of the young master. If there's nothing else, you can leave now." Willow Tree said. "How cold." Zhuge Mingyang shook his head and took a few steps back. "I'll just watch. I won't disturb you guys." Willow Tree raised his eyebrows and turned to look at Qin Feiyang with a questioning gaze. Qin Feiyang looked at Zhuge Mingyang and said, "It's not good to stay here for long. Let's go first." Yu Huang was puzzled. "Everyone in the main pagoda is dead. What are you afraid of? Although the main pagoda is no longer a concern, don't forget that there's still the Heavenly Sun Empire in the Nether Hall. When they receive the news, they will definitely come to check the situation. Although we have Chang Shui and the 3 divine artifacts of the main pagoda, after the previous battle, you and Willow Tree shouldn't have much pseudo-divine power left. So, we have to retreat first." Qin Feiyang thought. "Makes sense. I'll take you to a place." Willow Tree opened a portal. Zhuge Mingyang was stunned and asked curiously, "Where are you going?" "It's none of your business." Qin Feiyang said lightly, then looked at Yu Huang and said, "Let's wait for Wang Yuanshan and the others to leave first." "Okay." Yu Huang nodded, rolled up a group of people, and rushed into the portal without looking back. "I didn't expect you to be so cold." Sigh. "It's really disappointing." Zhuge Mingyang shook his head and sighed. Qin Feiyang said lightly, "Even without your help, I'm confident that I can make them all stay. So, I'm just imagining things. Zhuge Mingyang was angry. You can think of it that way. Qin Feiyang said. Okay. I'm not tactful. But I have a small request. Can you fulfill it? Zhuge Mingyang said. What request? Qin Feiyang frowned. Grant me death. Zhuge Mingyang grinned. Qin Feiyang was immediately enraged. Really? I really want to die. Just be kind and grant me my wish. Zhuge Mingyang said. At this moment, there was no hypocrisy at all. It was very sincere. Qin Feiyang clenched his hands and said angrily, You've already broken through to the pseudo-god realm. Is there any point in doing this? Of course there is. Because I haven't broken through to the war god realm. How about this, you name your request. As long as you grant me death, I'll satisfy you. Zhuge Mingyang smiled. Qin Feiyang's face was extremely ugly. Although Zhuge Mingyang didn't mean to laugh at him, he felt very sullen. This was because Zhuge Mingyang's current strength was all because of him. Divine artifact. Divine art. Just name it. As long as I have it, I'll give it to you. Really? I've never been as serious as I am now. Zhuge Mingyang said again. Qin Feiyang said, Okay, give me your demonic arts, I'll grant you your wish. Zhuge Mingyang sighed. Brother, you're the one who's being unreasonable. You don't dare. Qin Feiyang sneered. Zhuge Mingyang shook his head and said, You're forcing me. Then don't look for me. Qin Feiyang sneered, then turned around and entered the portal with Willow Tree. When the portal disappeared, Zhuge Mingyang's face suddenly became gloomy, and he laughed sinisterly. Forcing me, is it? Alright, just you wait, I'll let you do it. Finished. Zhuge Mingyang turned around and disappeared into the vast mountains. At the same time, in a certain mountain stream, there was a wide river. The river was clear and winding, and the vegetation on both sides was lush. Several beasts were foraging on the shore. Not far away, there was a small courtyard, covering an area of about 100 feet, surrounded by a row of wooden fences. In the courtyard, there was a peach tree more than 10 meters tall, with luxuriant branches and leaves. Next to it, there was a small 2-story wooden building. The wooden building was very old, but very clean and tidy. However, whether it was the gate of the courtyard or the wooden building, they were all closed. No one could be seen. Suddenly, a group of people appeared out of thin air above the courtyard. It was Qin Feiyang and his group. Where is this? Yu Huang looked at the courtyard and glanced around suspiciously. This is the Qingyang Mountains. This courtyard is my temporary residence. Sometimes when I'm upset, I'll come here to stay for a while. And within a radius of 1,000 miles, the people who live here are basically ordinary people and ordinary beasts. So don't worry, someone will disturb us. Willow Tree laughed. Not bad. You really know how to enjoy it. Yu Huang laughed. Qin Feiyang looked at the courtyard and asked, Other than you, is there anyone else living here? No. Willow Tree shook his head and asked suspiciously, Why do you ask? Then why is the courtyard so clean? Qin Feiyang frowned. Willow Tree suddenly smiled and waved his hand, and a divine barrier immediately appeared around the courtyard. So there's a barrier. Qin Feiyang muttered. Although there are no beasts in the Qingyang Mountains, there are many wild beasts. These wild beasts without spiritual intelligence, if they find that there is no one here, they will definitely come in and cause trouble. So I set up a barrier. Willow Tree said. Qin Feiyang nodded, looked around, and said, Are you sure that the people living here are ordinary people and wild beasts? I'm sure. After all, no matter where it is, there is a world that belongs to mortals. And this area in the Black Tortoise realm is the world of mortals. Willow Tree said. Qin Feiyang said, "All right then, let's go in." Willow Tree waved his hand, and the barrier suddenly collapsed. A group of people landed in the courtyard. "Wait. Did we miss something?" Yu Huang suddenly said. Qin Feiyang said, "You're talking about the main tower's treasure vault and herb field, right?" "Yes, yes, yes." Yu Huang nodded and immediately looked at the woman, saying, "Tell me, where is your herb field and treasure vault?" "I don't know." The woman sneered. "You're courting death." Yu Huang was furious, raising his snake tail like a long whip, and fiercely slapped the woman's face. Pa! Half of the woman's face was suddenly cut open, and blood splattered. She roared, "You damn beast, I will kill you sooner or later. You still dare to be arrogant? I remember when you controlled Wang Yu, it was very satisfying. Now I'll let you have a taste of being stabbed." Willow Tree was full of hostility, holding the Chang Shui, and stabbed the woman's heart again and again. "You bastard, you will die a horrible death." The woman screamed. "Your mouth stinks." Willow Tree raised his hand and slapped the woman on the other side of her face. This side of her face was also cut open on the spot, and blood splattered everywhere. "Bastard, kill me." The woman was ashamed and angry. "Kill you? Dream on. If I kill you now, how can we vent our anger?" Willow Tree sneered. Qin Feiyang glanced at the woman and looked at Wang Yuanshan, saying, "Don't say I didn't give you a chance, quickly tell me the location of the treasure vault and herb field." Wang Yuanshan glanced at the woman. "You dare." The woman glared at him. Wang Yuanshan suddenly shrank his head, his eyes full of fear. "You still don't know the truth." Willow Tree was furious, grabbing the woman's hair and rubbing it on the ground. "Speak!" Qin Feiyang shouted. Wang Yuanshan's eyes trembled, and he hurriedly said, "The herb field is in a large canyon, located northwest of the main tower, more than 10,000 miles away. The treasure vault is also under the herb field." 10,000 miles. So far. Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows. "Is it far?" Wang Yuanshan asked. Qin Feiyang was stunned, then shook his head and smiled. For fake gods like Wang Yuanshan, 10,000 miles was indeed not far. Qin Feiyang asked, "Is there anyone guarding the herb field and the treasure vault?" "No. In the past, the tower master lived there alone. If we want to enter the herb field, we have to get her permission first. Furthermore, she has also set up a divine power barrier around the medicinal field." Wang Yuanshan said. Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed, and said, "Yu Huang, Willow Tree, go immediately." "Yes." Chapter 1584. Wait. Qin Feiyang suddenly stretched out his hand. "Is there anything else?" Willow Tree asked. "There's one thing I almost forgot. You seem to have said that there is an 8th grade elixir fire in the main tower." Qin Feiyang said. "Yes." Willow Tree nodded. Qin Feiyang turned to look at Wang Yuanshan and asked, "Who has this 8th grade elixir fire?" Wang Yuanshan said, "Pei Yunchang." Pei Yunchang. Qin Feiyang was stunned. It's not surprising. Because in the main tower, Pei Yunchang's alchemy talent is the highest. Willow Tree said. Qin Feiyang said, "Then go and find Pei Yunchang's body in his Qianquan bag. Take Chang Shui with you in case of accidents." "Okay." Willow Tree nodded and turned to enter the portal. Qin Feiyang, "Don't forget your promise to me." Yu Huang laughed mischievously and followed after him. "What promise?" Qin Feiyang was puzzled. Then he seemed to think of something and smiled bitterly. If he guessed correctly, the promise Yu Huang mentioned should be the artifact. When he gave the 7-star sword to Willow Tree, he said that he would give it to Yu Huang the next time he got one. And this time, He got 3 artifacts at once. If he didn't give one to Yu Huang, it seemed a little unreasonable. Headache. Qin Feiyang shook his head. To be honest, the first people he thought of were White-Eyed Wolf, Fatso, and the others. After all, they had followed him for so long. Even if they didn't make any contributions, they had worked hard. Glancing at the yard, there was a stone table and 4 stone stools. Qin Feiyang walked over and sat on a stone stool. He looked at Wang Yuanshan and the others and said, "Come here." A group of people rolled and crawled to Qin Feiyang. "Kneel." Qin Feiyang said. Although they were all fake gods, no one dared to act rashly at this moment. They obediently knelt on the ground in an orderly manner. The woman roared, "You spineless trash." Wang Yuanshan and the others immediately lowered their heads in shame. Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows and glanced at the woman. "You have a backbone, don't you?" "I don't know if I have a backbone or not. I only know that you will never expect me to kneel in front of you." The woman sneered. "Really? Let's wait and see." Qin Feiyang smiled playfully. With a thought, Fatso and Lu Hong appeared out of thin air. He said, "Take their Qinkuan bags." "All right." Fatso shouted and immediately ran forward, seizing everyone's Qinkuan bags. Following that, Fatso ran in front of Qin Feiyang, placed the Qinkuan bag on the table, and laughed, "Even the fake gods are obediently kneeling in front of you, boss, you are truly a born emperor." "Ha!" Qin Feiyang was stunned. Lu Hong also looked at Fatso with a strange expression. What was this dead pig head up to? Because this guy definitely wouldn't flatter him for no reason. Fatso said, "Why are you looking at Fat Lord like that?" "Fat Lord is telling the truth." "That's enough." Qin Feiyang rolled his eyes and said, "What kind of conspiracy do you have? Just say it." Fatso laughed embarrassedly, "Boss, look, didn't you get 3 divine artifacts this time?" "As expected." Lu Hong pursed her lips. Qin Feiyang teased, and then, "Fat Lord seems to have heard that there is a divine artifact called the Black Dragon Battle Axe. Look, Fat Lord's battle soul is the Black Dragon, and there is also the Black Dragon scripture. Don't you think that this Black Dragon Battle Axe is a good match for Fat Lord?" Fatso laughed mischievously. "Is it? Why didn't I notice?" Lu Hong said disdainfully. Fatso's face darkened, and said angrily, "When men are talking, women shouldn't interrupt, no rules." "Yo!" Lu Hong raised her eyebrows, grabbed Fatso's ear, and said angrily, "Do you have a prejudice against us women?" "No, no. How would I dare?" "Big sister, let go, it's falling." Fatso hurriedly said, grimacing in pain. Qin Feiyang shook his head and laughed, took out the Black Dragon Battle Axe and the jade pendant, placed them on the stone table, and said, "One for each of you." "One for each of us?" Lu Hong was stunned. Fatso hurriedly pulled Lu Hong's fingers away and pounced on the Black Dragon Battle Axe. Qin Feiyang suddenly stretched out his hand and pressed down on the Black Dragon Battle Axe. Fatso was slightly stunned, hurriedly looked at Qin Feiyang, and shouted, "Boss, a real man keeps his word, don't go back on it." "Who said I'm going back on my word?" Qin Feiyang said angrily. "Then what are you doing?" Fatso was suspicious. Qin Feiyang said, "Before I give you the Black Dragon Battle Axe, I want to say a few words first." Go ahead, go ahead." Fatso said anxiously. Qin Feiyang said, "First the Black Dragon Scripture, then the Black Dragon Battle Axe, I think I've already taken care of you." Yes, 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 thank you boss. To be able to follow boss is Fat Lord's lifetime honor." Fatso said with a flattering smile. "Shut up. Can't you be serious?" Qin Feiyang said angrily. Fatso was stunned, his expression became serious, and said, "Continue." I don't care about divine arts or divine artifacts, I can give you whatever you want, I only have one request, work hard and don't let me down. Qin Feiyang said. Fatso was silent for a long time, and said, Boss, don't worry, I will work hard and catch up with you as soon as possible. You still don't understand. What I want is not for you to catch up with me, but to surpass me and become my strongest right-hand man. Qin Feiyang said. This, Fatso was a little dumbfounded. What's wrong? No confidence. Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows. Yes. Fatso nodded. Take it. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly and let go of the black dragon battle axe. Thank you, boss. Fatso smiled and immediately went forward to grab the black dragon battle axe. His face was blooming with joy. Qin Feiyang looked at Lu Hong who was standing at the side in a daze, and said with a smile, This jade pendant, you can keep it too. Me? Why are you giving it to me? I can't help you with anything. Moreover, if you give me the jade pendant, what will you give to Yu Huang? Lu Hong said. Who says you can't help me with anything? I believe you. And I feel that this jade pendant should only be able to exert its full strength. Because there is a white dragon on this jade pendant. Generally, the totems on divine artifacts have some hidden mysteries. And the white dragon just happens to match your battle soul. As for Yu Huang, I will give him the fire lotus. Qin Feiyang smiled. Originally, he wanted to keep the fire lotus for his own use, but since he had promised Yu Huang, he would give it to him. Lu Hong was still a little hesitant. Qin Feiyang shook his head and smiled. He grabbed the jade pendant, got up and stuffed it into Lu Hong's hand, and said with a smile, Just take it, why are you being so polite with me? Yes. Why should I be polite with you? Lu Hong smiled and looked down at the jade pendant, and said, Then, it will be called the White Dragon Pendant from now on. Up to you. Qin Feiyang smiled and returned to his seat, and coughed dryly, and said, Fatso. Fatty was stunned for a moment before he quickly replied, Yes. Let me ask you, what is in the mortal world? Qin Feiyang glanced at the woman and said lightly. This, Fatso was stunned. Why did he suddenly ask this? Moreover, the boss had lived in Iron Ox Town for as long as 5 years and knew the mortal world very well. Why did he ask him? Qin Feiyang said, I ask, you answer. Okay. Fatso nodded and pondered for a while, and said, In the mortal world, except for divine weapons and divine arts, there is everything, such as pots and pans, oil, salt and vinegar, swords, spears, sticks, and sticks. Qin Feiyang said, Yes, but there is one thing you didn't think of. What? Fatso was suspicious. Beggars. Qin Feiyang said. Fatso was slightly stunned and nodded, Yes, there are many beggars in the mortal world. Qin Feiyang smiled, The life of these beggars is very difficult. After this meal, there is no next meal, let alone find women, right? Fatso said, Yes, they can't even take care of their lives, how can they find women? Qin Feiyang said, Then if a woman suddenly appears in front of them with disheveled clothes, what do you think they will do? Needless to say, they will definitely swarm her. Fatso said. What's the situation? Lu Hong looked at the two of them suspiciously. Wang Yuanshan and the others were also puzzled. Why did they suddenly talk about beggars? Qin Feiyang grinned, looked at Fatso and asked, What do you think of our pagoda master? Pagoda master? The fatty stared blankly for a moment before he instantly understood Qin Feiyang's meaning. He turned around to size up the woman and said with a sinister smile, Although you're old, you've maintained yourself well. You can be considered a great beauty. Hearing this, the woman suddenly had a bad premonition in her heart. Qin Feiyang nodded, I think so too, it is a pity to kill her like this. Yes. It is a pity. Fatso said. Qin Feiyang chuckled and said, then how about? Why not what? Fatso asked. Qin Feiyang said, why don't we strip her and send her to the beggars and let them all have a taste of women? Lu Hong burst out laughing. The woman's face instantly turned pale. Wang Yuanshan and the others were also stunned. Good idea. Fatso's eyes lit up, and he turned to look at the woman, saying, with your beauty, in the eyes of those beggars, you are a fairy-like existence. I believe that they will definitely love you. You demons. The woman roared, her eyes full of resentment. Qin Feiyang said, strip her naked. Okay. Fatso nodded and strode to the woman. The woman hurriedly retreated in horror and cried, no, please, don't do this to me, she was afraid. Not to mention really going, just thinking about this kind of thing made her feel despair. Moreover, she was a false god, the dignified pagoda master, an existence that stood at the top of the black tortoise world. How could such a thing happen to her? Begging me is useless. I have to carry out the boss's orders. Besides, isn't it just serving a group of men? It won't take your life, what are you afraid of? Fatso grinned and grabbed the woman's clothes. No, kill me, don't torture me, I beg you, the woman screamed in panic and knelt on the ground, looking at Qin Feiyang and the other two, begging endlessly. Weren't you very unyielding just now? You also said that you would never take the initiative to kneel in front of me. What's going on now? Why are you kneeling? Get up. Chapter 1585. When the woman heard this, she immediately shouted angrily, you said all this just to force me to kneel? What do you think? Qin Feiyang looked at her mockingly. Bastard! The woman roared angrily. Shut up. If you don't behave, I'll ask Fatso to strip you naked and send you to the beggars. Don't think that I can't do it. Qin Feiyang sneered. The woman's eyes trembled and her anger disappeared. She lowered her head in fear. Qin Feiyang snorted and said calmly, tell me, how can I get rid of the art of puppetry? The woman was stunned. She raised her head and looked at Qin Feiyang. Then, she immediately lowered her head and remained silent. Fatso shouted, are you mute? The woman turned a deaf ear and refused to speak. Let's see if your mouth is tougher or my methods are tougher. Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed coldly. He turned to Fatso and said, strip her. Okay. Fatso laughed and grabbed the woman's clothes. He tore them into pieces, leaving only her underwear. The woman suddenly screamed in panic and shouted at Fatso, bastard, stay away from me. Fatso crossed his arms and sneered, if you don't speak, I'm afraid you won't even be able to keep your underwear. Think carefully. I can't get rid of the art of puppetry. Because the art of puppetry is unsolvable. The woman exclaimed. Unsolvable? Do you think we're 3 years old? Fatso laughed angrily and grabbed the woman's underwear. I'm not lying. The art of puppetry is unsolvable. This is what the deputy chief of the Vangu League told me personally. The woman said anxiously. Fatso was stunned. He frowned and said, what does this have to do with the Vangu League? The art of puppetry was given to me by the deputy chief of the Vangu League. But he only gave me the cultivation method of the puppet technique, not the method to remove it. The woman said. Vangu League, deputy chief, Qin Feiyang's eyes flickered. Fatso looked at Wang Yuanshan and the others and asked, is what she said true? We don't know either. That's because it's usually the tower owner who contacts the Vangu League. Wang Yuanshan said. Fatso turned to look at Qin Feiyang with a questioning look. Qin Feiyang pondered for a moment and formed a seal with both hands. A slave seal appeared and sank into the woman's head. Ah, the woman immediately held her head and howled miserably. What's going on? Wang Yuanshan and the others were bewildered. But soon, the woman stopped screaming and everything returned to normal. What happened? The woman was also a little confused. She looked up at Qin Feiyang and said, "What did you do to me?" Qin Feiyang did not answer. He said, "I'll ask you again. Do you really not know how to break the art of puppetry?" After that, he was secretly peeping into the woman's mind. "What do you want me to say to make you believe me?" "I really don't know," the woman roared. Qin Feiyang looked at Fatso and shook his head. "She's not lying." The woman looked at Qin Feiyang in surprise. What was going on? He was still suspicious before, but now he was sure that she was not lying. How could he be so sure? Fatso glanced at the woman and asked Qin Feiyang, "What do we do now?" Qin Feiyang pondered for a moment. His eyes flashed and he said, "If the slave seal can break the blood-soul technique, I'll try and see if it can break the puppet technique." The reason why the slave seal can break the blood-soul technique is because the blood-soul technique is a battle art. And the puppet technique and the slave seal are both divine arts. They shouldn't be able to do it. Fatso thought. How do you know if you don't try? Qin Feiyang imprinted again. Another slave seal condensed. He glanced at Wang Yuanshan and the others. With a wave of his hand, the slave seal flew towards the top of Wang Yuanshan's head. Wang Yuanshan panicked and instinctively wanted to escape. "What do you want to do?" Fatso shouted. Wang Yuanshan's body trembled. He immediately knelt on the ground obediently, not daring to move again. Whiz! The slave seal cut through the sky and entered the top of Wang Yuanshan's head. Wang Yuanshan immediately held his head and rolled on the ground. His face was filled with pain as he screamed miserably. Pagoda Master is like this, and Wang Yuanshan is also like this. What exactly is that imprint? Shirlan and the others were surprised. At the same time, they became nervous. Will Qin Feiyang also do something to them? Qin Feiyang stared fixedly at Wang Yuanshan. His eyes flickered with a trace of expectation. Time passed by. Finally, Wang Yuanshan stopped screaming. He climbed up and looked at himself suspiciously. Why didn't he feel any change? Wait a minute. Soul. He suddenly felt that his soul seemed to have an extra shackle. It was very uncomfortable. Qin Feiyang said, "Can you feel that the puppet technique has disappeared?" I heard Pagoda Master say that the puppet technique is one with the soul. It's invisible and colorless. There's no feeling. Even if it disappears, I won't be able to feel it, Wang Yuanshan said. Soul. Qin Feiyang was stunned. His eyebrows scrunched up. A soul can't be controlled by two people at the same time. If the puppet technique is really one with the soul, then there will only be two results. Either the slave seal will destroy the puppet technique and replace it. Or the puppet technique will block the slave seal's devouring. In short, it's a competition of levels. Whoever's level is higher will be able to seize control. Feiyang, look at Pagoda Master. Just when Qin Feiyang was confused, Lu Hong's voice suddenly sounded. Pagoda Master. Qin Feiyang was stunned. He turned to look at the woman. His eyes suddenly had a touch of surprise. His attention was on Wang Yuanshan. He didn't notice that the corner of the woman's mouth was bleeding at this moment. What's going on? Qin Feiyang murmured. Wait. Could it be, he seemed to have thought of something. His expression was slightly stiff. Then he suddenly slapped his head. What a fool. Why did he look at Wang Yuanshan? He should look at the woman. Because the woman was the one controlling Wang Yuanshan. Once the puppet technique is broken, the woman will suffer a backlash, just like the blood-soul technique and the slave seal. In other words, the woman's mouth was bleeding now. It was most likely caused by the backlash. And the woman's expression at this moment was extremely exaggerated. Her eyes were wide open. His mouth was also wide open, enough to stuff a person into it. In short, she looked at Wang Yuanshan with an extremely shocked expression. What did this mean? It meant that something incredible must have happened to Wang Yuanshan. Fatso! Qin Feiyang shouted. Fatso was also looking at the woman suspiciously. When he heard Qin Feiyang's voice, he retracted his gaze and looked at Qin Feiyang. As soon as he saw Qin Feiyang's eyes, he understood. He kicked the woman and said, "Tell me, has Wang Yuanshan's puppet technique been broken?" The woman nodded instinctively. Her dull face was full of disbelief. Seeing this, Qin Feiyang immediately stood up. His face was instantly filled with joy. The slave seal could break the puppet technique. So now, the woman couldn't threaten him anymore. He waved his hand and Wang Yuer appeared. "Yuer. Quickly help grandfather plead for leniency. Ask Qin Feiyang not to kill me." Wang Yuanshan hurriedly got up and ran to Wang Yuer's side. "Who asked you to get up?" Fatso said angrily. He stepped forward, grabbed Wang Yuanshan, and threw him back like garbage. Wang Yuer looked at the embarrassed Wang Yuanshan with a complicated expression. In the end, she sighed secretly and turned to look at Qin Feiyang. She opened her mouth slightly, as if she wanted to say something. Qin Feiyang waved his hand and said, "Don't talk. I'll help you break the puppet technique first." "Break the puppet technique?" Wang Yuer was stunned and asked, "Can you do it?" Qin Feiyang nodded. As his hands moved, a slave seal quickly took shape. "Bear with it." Qin Feiyang waved his hand and the slave seal disappeared into the top of Wang Yuer's head. Wang Yuer's face suddenly distorted with pain. But she didn't make a sound and endured it silently. Soon, Qin Feiyang noticed that the woman's body trembled slightly and blood flowed from the corners of her mouth again. At the same time, the woman also looked at Wang Yuer, and the shock on her face was even stronger. Obviously, Wang Yuer's puppet technique had been erased. However, Qin Feiyang only broke Wang Yuer's puppet technique and didn't use the slave seal to control her. "I didn't expect you to be able to break the puppet technique. Have you also cultivated the puppet technique?" The woman looked at Qin Feiyang in surprise. "No." Qin Feiyang shook his head. "Then how did you break it?" the woman asked. Qin Feiyang glanced at her and made another seal with his hands. One slave seal after another appeared and rushed into the top of Shirlan and the others' heads one after another. Poof! As the puppet technique was broken, the woman suffered a backlash again and again. When the last person's puppet technique was broken, she spat out a mouthful of old blood. "How is this possible?" The woman shook her head and was dumbfounded. She couldn't accept this fact. Qin Feiyang's face was full of sarcasm. Moreover, Shirlan and the others were the same as Wang Yuanshan. After breaking the puppet technique, they were directly controlled by the slave seal. In other words, now, even if these people recovered their cultivation, Qin Feiyang could kill them all with a thought. Qin Feiyang turned to look at the woman and said with a smile, "Now, what are you going to use to threaten me?" The woman slumped to the ground weakly. Her face was pale. Despair shrouded her heart. Suddenly, she got up and crawled to Qin Feiyang's feet, begging, "Don't kill me, I'll be your slave. With my strength, I can definitely help you, no need." Qin Feiyang said coldly. "It's my fault. I shouldn't have coveted the soul refining technique and divine crystals. I deserve to die. I beg you, don't kill me, you were once a disciple of the Pill Pagoda and we are considered family. Can you be merciful and let me go?" The woman kowtowed and begged while crying. Her previous arrogance had completely disappeared and she looked pitiful. She miscalculated. She really miscalculated. She didn't expect Qin Feiyang to be able to break the puppet technique. Now that Wang Yu had regained her freedom, Qin Feiyang no longer had any worries and could kill her if he wanted to. Fat Lord, I thought you would continue to be arrogant with us. It turns out that you're afraid of death too. It's true that in front of death, fake gods, self-esteem, and big shots are nothing. Fatso sneered. Yes, yes, yes. The woman nodded submissively. TSK. Fatso's face was full of disdain. Qin Feiyang shook his head and smiled. He looked at the woman and said, "Don't worry, I won't kill you." Really? Thank you, thank you. I will definitely not forget your great kindness. Chapter 1586. You're welcome. Qin Feiyang waved his hand and smiled. He looked at Fatso and said, "Do you know what to do?" "Of course." Fatso laughed. He grabbed the woman and rushed into the sky. Then he locked in a direction and disappeared into the sky like lightning. What are you going to do to the Tower Master? Wang Yuanshan and the others looked at Qin Feiyang in shock and anger. Aren't you asking the obvious? Qin Feiyang laughed. Shirlan said, You're not really going to send the Tower Master to the beggars, are you? Do you want to go too? Qin Feiyang said. Shirlan's face suddenly turned pale. She roared, You're a beast. Humph. Qin Feiyang snorted coldly, got up, kicked Shirlan, and said, when she tortured Wang Yu, wasn't she behaving like a beast? Shirlan still wanted to say something. It's only right to pay what you owe. She deserves what she has now. You're busy with her because there's still a debt between us that hasn't been settled. Qin Feiyang said. Shirlan's body trembled. You're quite bold to pretend to be Wang Yu, and plot against me. Qin Feiyang sneered. Don't kill me, Shirlan hurriedly begged for mercy. Do you think I'm such a merciful person? Qin Feiyang smiled coldly and operated the slavery seal. Please, let me go. I can work for you, Shirlan held her head and screamed. But Qin Feiyang turned a deaf ear to her and looked extremely indifferent. Shirlan's head gradually cracked, and the blood that gushed out flowed down her face and dyed her whole body red. At this moment, there was no other thought in her mind. There was only one thought. She was in so much pain that she wanted to die. Looking at this scene, Wang Yuanshan and the others' faces were full of fear. Finally, in endless pain, she finally fell to the ground and died. Qin Feiyang glanced at Shirlan's corpse and then looked at Wang Yuanshan. Wang Yuanshan shuddered and hurriedly said, Feiyang, I was really forced into a corner. On account of you, spare this old life of mine. Old fate? I think it's a dog's life. Qin Feiyang sneered. Yes, yes, yes. This is my dog life. Wang Yuanshan nodded repeatedly, wagging his tail and begging for mercy. Qin Feiyang's eyes were full of disdain. Wang Yuanshan looked at Wang Yu and said, You quickly speak up for your grandfather. Wang Yu lowered her head and remained silent. Seeing this, Wang Yuanshan cried out sorrowfully, I'm your biological grandfather. You can't leave me in the lurch. Even if you don't give me face, you should give your grandfather face. Grandpa, Wang Yu's gaze trembled. She looked up at Wang Yuanshan and then at Qin Feiyang. But she didn't expect that when she spoke, Qin Feiyang said, Are you really going to plead for him? Wang Yu sighed, He's my biological grandfather after all. I can't sit back and do nothing. Moreover, he was indeed forced by the pagoda master. Forced? Isn't that because he's afraid of death? Although I haven't known him for long, I've already seen through what kind of person he is. I'm sure that if he encounters any danger in the future, he won't hesitate to sell you out. Qin Feiyang said. He won't. I promise. Wang Yuanshan hurriedly waved his hand and said solemnly. Qin Feiyang didn't want to bother with him at all. He looked at Wang Yu and said, "I'll ask you one last time. Are you sure you want me to let him go?" Wang Yu turned to look at Wang Yuanshan. Your grandfather's only hope now. We've just reunited. Your grandfather hasn't seen me yet. Do you have the heart to watch me die?" Wang Yuanshan shouted. Sigh. Wang Yuanshan sighed deeply. He turned to look at Qin Feiyang and nodded lightly. "All right." Qin Feiyang said. "Thank you." Wang Yuanshan was overjoyed. "Don't be happy too early. Although I won't kill you, the slavery seal is still there. The slavery seal controls your soul. As long as I think about it, I can erase you. Moreover, I can also peek into your inner thoughts through the slavery seal. So, if I find out that you're pretending to be obedient, I'll kill you without hesitation." Qin Feiyang said. "What?" Wang Yuanshan's face turned pale. The others were also panicking. They didn't expect that unknowingly, they had already been controlled by Qin Feiyang. And he could even peek into their inner thoughts. In that case, in the future, in front of Qin Feiyang, they would have no secrets to speak of. Qin Feiyang shouted, "Do you understand?" Wang Yuanshan trembled and nodded, I understand. I will be an honest person. Get lost." Qin Feiyang said. Wang Yuanshan hurriedly got up. But he found that his legs had lost their strength. It wasn't that they were numb, but that they were frightened by Qin Feiyang. Wang Yuanshan stepped forward and helped Wang Yuanshan up. He took out a spirit sea pill and said, "Take it." "Okay." Wang Yuanshan nodded, glanced at Qin Feiyang, took the spirit sea pill, and put it into his mouth. Wang Yu turned to look at Qin Feiyang and said, "I want to have a good time with grandfather, but you definitely don't want to see him again, so I plan to leave for a while. Be careful." Qin Feiyang reminded. He didn't ask her to stay. Because there was no need. Moreover, he really didn't want to see Wang Yuanshan again. As for Wang Yu's safety, he wasn't worried about it now. After all, Wang Yuanshan was a fake god. After watching the two of them leave, Qin Feiyang withdrew his gaze and looked at the other 6 people. The 6 of them suddenly became nervous. Lu Hong's eyes flashed, and she leaned over to Qin Feiyang's ear and whispered a few words. Qin Feiyang was stunned and said with a smile, "Fortunately, you reminded me. Otherwise, I really wouldn't have thought of this problem." Lu Hong smiled slightly. Qin Feiyang pondered for a while and nodded with a smile. "Okay, we'll do as you say." Then, he took out 6 spirit sea pills and threw them to the 6 people. "What does that mean?" The 6 of them were stunned. Qin Feiyang said, "It means that I won't kill you." "Why?" The 6 of them were puzzled. "I killed Pei Yunchang, Sherlan, and tortured the Tower Master because they schemed against me. As for you, although you also want to kill me, after all, you're elders of the Tower Master, so it's understandable." Qin Feiyang said with a smile. The 6 of them looked at each other. Logically speaking, they should be happy that they escaped with their lives, but they just couldn't feel happy. They felt that it was not that simple. "Do you really want to die?" "I can fulfill your wish." Qin Feiyang said. No. The 6 of them hurriedly shook their heads. "Since you don't want to die, what are you waiting for?" Qin Feiyang said angrily. The 6 of them shuddered and hurriedly grabbed the spirit sea pills on the ground and stuffed them into their mouths. Qin Feiyang said, "Get up." The 6 of them looked at each other and slowly got up. Their legs were so weak that it took them a while to recover. Swish. At this moment, 2 figures appeared. They were Yu Huang and Willow Tree. But at this moment, their eyes were extremely fierce. Qin Feiyang looked at them and asked suspiciously, "What's wrong?" "Someone beat us to it." Willow Tree said in a deep voice. Who? Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows. Zhuge Mingyang. Lu Mu gritted his teeth and continued, also, that bastard was hiding in the dark, preparing to launch a sneak attack on us. Luckily, Yu Huang discovered it in time and wasn't enveloped by his innate ability. Also, it's also fortunate that you gave pale snow to me. If not, Yu Huang and I would have really died there. He's really haunting us. Qin Feiyang was furious. The Tower Master was the overlord of the Black Tortoise world, so the treasures in the herb field and the treasure vault must be quite amazing. He was unwilling to give them to Zhuge Mingyang just like that. He's the same as us. He just entered the Black Tortoise world. But how did he know where the main tower's herb field is? He even knows the location of the treasure vault. It's too strange. Lu Hong frowned. Willow Tree said, I asked him about this, and he didn't hide it. He said that it has something to do with the Guardians. What? Lu Hong's eyes trembled. Qin Feiyang clenched his hands. As expected, it was this giant python behind the scenes. He said, what else did he say? He said that when he saw that the herbs in the herb field were still there, he expected that you would send someone over. So he ambushed there and killed the people who went to plunder the herbs. This way, he could anger you and you would naturally kill him. Willow Tree said. How despicable. Lu Hong said in disgust. It doesn't matter if he's despicable or not. I just want to know, why does he want me to kill him? Can't he be reborn if others kill him? Qin Feiyang frowned. It's possible. Otherwise, why would he come to you specifically? Willow Tree said. Qin Feiyang said, if that's the case, then it's easy to deal with. When the time comes, I won't make a move. You guys can kill him. It's not that easy now. Look at his special ability. He can deprive people of 4 small realms. I'm afraid that even if Yu Huang and I join forces, we will only be killed by him. Willow Tree sighed. Yu Huang also nodded. Don't worry about this. Although I can't do anything to his war soul now, when White-Eyed Wolf breaks through to the semi-god realm, his war soul will no longer be a threat to us. At that time, I'm afraid he won't even have the courage to activate his war soul. Qin Feiyang sneered. That's right. Brother Wolf's special ability is the nemesis of all war souls. Zhuge Mingyang also knows this, so as long as Brother Wolf breaks through to the semi-god realm quickly, he won't be a threat. Lu Hong nodded. But the key point is that White-Eyed Wolf is still far from the semi-god realm. Willow Tree said. That doesn't matter. Although Zhuge Mingyang has already stepped into the semi-god realm, White-Eyed Wolf's talent isn't bad either. Coupled with the ancient castle's time rule, I believe it will be able to step into the semi-god realm in a few years. And in a few years, as long as I don't kill Zhuge Mingyang, with his talent, he won't be able to become a real war god. Qin Feiyang smiled. Let's hope so. Willow Tree sighed. Why are you sighing? Will you still care about what happens in a few years' time? Yu Huang rolled his eyes. Why can't I care? Willow Tree wondered. Yu Huang was speechless. Are you a pig? Can you leave the Black Tortoise world? Ah. Chapter 1587. That's right. They're outside, and you're in the Black Tortoise realm. How are you going to manage them? Yu Huang said. Willow Tree smiled helplessly, looked at Shirlan's body, and then glanced at the 6 elders standing at the side, and asked suspiciously, Young master, why didn't you kill them? I left them for you. Qin Feiyang said. Left them for me? Willow Tree was stunned and asked suspiciously, why did you leave them for me? As you said, we will leave the Black Tortoise realm sooner or later. How will you survive here alone? So, I have to plan for you in advance. The 6 of them are all semi-divinities. With them helping you, you should be able to protect yourself without any problems, Zhang Xian said. Qin Feiyang laughed. Willow Tree was stunned. It turned out that the young master was planning for his future. Plop. Suddenly. He knelt on the ground and sobbed, "Young master, after living for so many years, this is the first time someone cares about me. Thank you, okay, don't be pretentious. Get up." Qin Feiyang interrupted him and laughed. Willow Tree nodded, got up and looked at Qin Feiyang gratefully, and even his eyes were a little wet. "If you really want to thank someone, you should thank Lu Hong. Because she reminded me. Otherwise, these 6 people would have become corpses long ago." Qin Feiyang said. Willow Tree looked at Lu Hong and cupped his hands. "Thank you, Miss Lu. We're all on the same side, why are you so polite?" Lu Hong said with a smile. It was only at this moment that the 6 of them came to a sudden realization. So the reason they were kept alive was because of the willow tree. Yu Huang suddenly said, "What about that woman?" Qin Feiyang said briefly. "Ah." Hearing this, Willow Tree and Yu Huang were both shocked. Young master was really a genius to be able to think of such a way to torture people. "What about Wang Yuanshan?" Willow Tree asked. "She left with Wang Yu, her. What a stupid woman." Qin Feiyang shook his head. Willow Tree and Yu Huang looked at each other and didn't say anything. Although he didn't see it with his own eyes, he could imagine that Qin Feiyang must have let Wang Yuanshan off because of Wang Yu's plea. Willow Tree suddenly raised his eyebrows and said, "Young master, there's something I don't know if I should say." "Speak." Qin Feiyang said. "Although the pagoda master's cultivation has been crippled and her cosmos sac has been taken away by you, I suggest that you kill her. After all, her identity is extraordinary. She has many friends in the Black Tortoise world. If these people see her, they will definitely lend her a helping hand. Especially the Vanga League." Willow Tree said. "Don't worry, Fatso will handle it properly." Qin Feiyang smiled. Willow Tree nodded. "That's enough. Quickly rest. There's still a tough battle to fight." Qin Feiyang said. His eyes flashed. "What else do we have to do?" The 6 people were surprised. "Of course, we have to destroy the Heavenly Sun Empire," Willow Tree said. The 6 people immediately sucked in a breath of air. This person was going to turn the Black Tortoise world upside down. The next morning. The Nether Hall. What? The pagoda master was destroyed? Not a single one is left. The first elder, third elder, fourth elder, and fifth elder were sitting at a tea table. They looked at a middle-aged man in front of them with shock on their faces. Yes. This matter has spread throughout the Black Tortoise world. Everyone is talking about it. The middle-aged man said. This damned little bastard, what kind of monster is he? Because the pagoda master has the Vanga League as its backer, it's stronger than the Nether Hall. How could it be destroyed by him? Then how are we going to find him and avenge our humiliation? The third elder said. The first elder, fourth elder, and fifth elder lowered their heads. They were silent. Upon closer inspection, one could see a strong sense of fear in their eyes. No matter what, the Vice Palace Master has already ordered us to take him down. The first elder raised his head and said. The fourth elder said, even the Pagoda Master is no match for him. What can we do? There's still the Vanga League. Qin Feiyang's destruction of the Pagoda Master is equivalent to the Vanga League's victory. Therefore, I'm sure that the Vanga League won't sit back and do nothing. The first elder said. The fourth elder pondered for a while. He looked at the middle-aged man and asked, do you know where he is? No one knows. After destroying the Pagoda Master, it's as if they've evaporated into thin air. The middle-aged man shook his head. The fourth elder turned to look at the first elder and said, even if the Vanga League makes a move, they'll have to know where he is first. That's not difficult. The Heavenly Sun Empire and the Great Qin Empire have an unresolvable grudge. I expect that Qin Feiyang will go to Heavenly Sun City sooner or later. Because Heavenly Sun City is the capital of the Heavenly Sun Empire. The first elder's eyes flashed. He raised his head and looked at the middle-aged man. He ordered, "Go to Heavenly Sun City and guard it now. Once there's news about Qin Feiyang, inform us immediately." "Yes." The middle-aged man responded respectfully, turned around, and strode away. But before he walked out of the door, he turned to look at the four elders and said, "There's one more thing. The people in Peach Blossom City were all killed inexplicably." "What?" The four of them suddenly stood up, their faces full of shock. This subordinate personally went to Peach Blossom City to confirm. The ground was full of dried corpses, and no one was alive. Moreover, the border area of the Devil's Land was also full of dried corpses of ferocious beasts. "It's like hell. It makes one's scalp tingle," the middle-aged man said. "Dried corpses? How could they be dried corpses?" The four of them were surprised. "I don't know either. Their flesh and blood seem to have been hollowed out by something." The middle-aged man shook his head. The fourth elder said, "Could it be Qin Feiyang's doing again?" "It's not Qin Feiyang." The middle-aged man said. "What do you mean?" The fourth elder looked at the middle-aged man and asked. The middle-aged man said, "Because according to the time of death of those people and ferocious beasts, Qin Feiyang was in the main tower at that time, so it can't be him. If it's not Qin Feiyang, then who could it be? Why don't I know that there's someone in the Black Tortoise world who has such a terrifying method?" The fourth elder said. "No one knows who it is. However, someone heard from the ferocious beasts in the depths of the Devil's Land that someone seemed to have broken through to the false god realm in the direction of Peach Blossom City." The middle-aged man said. "Broke through to the false god realm?" The first elder and the others looked at each other and said, "Then it should be related to this person. Then should we investigate thoroughly?" The middle-aged man asked. "If we can investigate clearly, it's best to investigate. But the most important thing is still Qin Feiyang." The first elder said. "Understood." The middle-aged man nodded and turned to leave. At the same time, Tianyang City. In a magnificent hall. There was a middle-aged man about 1.8 meters tall. He was quite thin and wore a gorgeous golden python robe with golden boots. He was sitting on a pure golden throne. His face was cold. His gaze was extremely sharp. Two thick eyebrows, like sharp swords, rose to his temples. He sat there like a deity, and his entire body exuded an extremely majestic aura. Below, a middle-aged man in golden armor was slowly telling them about the destruction of the main tower. A moment later, the man in golden armor bowed and said, "Lord Divine Lord, that's about it. Amazing. He even dared to destroy the main tower. Putting aside the grudges between us and Great Qin, I have to admit that this kid is really outstanding. Qin Badian finally has a successor." The middle-aged man in the python robe said with a deep and powerful voice. "He's outstanding, but the Vanga League won't let him continue like this." The man in golden armor sneered. "It's best if the Vanga League can intervene. After all, the Tianyang Empire can't touch Chang Shui in his hands. But we must save Mu Shinkong. Immediately pass down the order to strictly investigate everyone who enters Tianyang City." The middle-aged man in the python robe said. "Lord Divine Lord, do you mean that Qin Feiyang is coming to Tianyang City?" The man in golden armor was surprised. "That's right. As the descendant of Qin Badian, how can he not come to check out our strength? I reckon that his next target will be the Tianyang Empire. So, everyone must be vigilant. Especially the Imperial Palace, strengthen the security. Before Qin Feiyang shows up, not even a fly can fly in. The middle-aged man in the python robe said. Okay. The man in golden armor nodded. Go and arrange it. The middle-aged man in the python robe waved his hand. I'll take my leave. The man in golden armor bowed and turned to leave. Wait. Suddenly. The middle-aged man in the python robe said again. Lord, do you have any other orders? The man in golden armor turned to look at him suspiciously. How is Mu Tianyang? The middle-aged man in the python robe asked. The man in golden armor said, he's refining the spirit congealing pill and condensing his divine sense. The middle-aged man in the python robe frowned and said, go and call him to see me. Okay. The man in golden armor nodded and then quickly left. Qin Feiyang, you've really surprised this marquis. But how long can you jump in the face of the powerful Vanga League? The middle-aged man in the python robe murmured with a cold light flashing in his eyes. Soon. A blurry figure entered the hall. It was Mu Tianyang. Mu Tianyang looked at the middle-aged man in the python robe above and said lightly, Yan Shenho, why are you looking for this emperor? Yan Shenho raised his eyebrows and said, in order to avenge you, Mu Shinkong's life and death are unknown. Aren't you worried at all? Is it useful to worry? Mu Tianyang asked. Yan Shenho slapped the armrest and said angrily, what is your attitude? When has Mu Tianyang been scolded like this? Suddenly, he was also furious and shouted, this emperor also wants to ask you, what is your attitude now? In front of this emperor, you are still sitting high above, it is simply presumptuous. Presumptuous. Yan Shenho was furious and said, in terms of seniority, this Ho is still your elder, you dare to speak to this Ho like this. Elder? This emperor does not deny this. But in the imperial family, there are no elders or juniors, only the emperor and the minister. I am the emperor, you are the minister, you have to be respectful to this emperor. Moreover, this emperor is a true war god, what qualifications do you have to look down on this emperor from above? Mu Tianyang said proudly. You, Yan Shenho was furious and roared, you are so powerful, isn't the Heavenly Sun Empire destroyed in your hands? Humph. Sooner or later, this emperor will take it back, you old fellows just open your eyes and watch. Is there anything else? If not, this emperor will take his leave. Mu Tianyang said coldly. Yan Shenho let out a long breath and said, this Ho wants to know everything about Qin Feiyang. Mu Tianyang waved his hand and Mu Qin appeared. Mu Tianyang looked at Mu Qin and said expressionlessly, I don't have time to waste with him, you tell him. Yes. Mu Qin respectfully replied. Chapter 1588. Mu Qin looked up at Yan Shenho and said, you shouldn't treat the Lord with such an attitude. You're also so presumptuous. Don't forget, you're also a member of the Mu family. Yan Shenho said angrily. Mu Qin said lightly, I know, in terms of seniority, I should call you ancestor, but in my eyes, there's only the Lord. You, Yan Shenho was about to go crazy. Although you're older than the Lord, whether it's talent or strength, you're not as good as the Lord. If you treat him like this now, it won't do you any good in the future. Mu Qin said. How dare you? Are you threatening me? Yan Shenho shouted. I don't dare. Mu Qin shook her head and said, I just want to tell you that you should know when to stop. Alright, let's not talk too much. I'll tell you about Qin Feiyang right now. Qinyang Mountain Range. In the castle. A night passed outside, but several days had passed inside the castle. Everyone's injuries had basically healed. As for Qin Feiyang, these days, he was copying the Xing formula. Whoosh! Accompanied by the sound of breaking air, Fatso landed in the sky above the courtyard like lightning. Seeing that there was no one in the courtyard, he knew that everyone was in the castle. His face was flushed, and his spirit was hale and hearty. He shouted, "Boss, it's done. Swish. Soon." Qin Feiyang, Willow Tree, Yu Huang, and the 6 elders all appeared in the courtyard. Fatso rushed in front of Qin Feiyang. Willow Tree looked at Fatso and suspiciously said, "Did something good happen to you?" "Yes." Fatso nodded. "What good thing?" Willow Tree was curious. On the way back, Fat Lord met a man and a woman. He eavesdropped on them saying that there was a treasure left by a fake god in a place in the Qinyang mountain range. Fatso said, "A treasure left by a fake god?" Willow Tree was bewildered. Although he was also a false god, the treasures left behind by false gods usually consisted of 1 or 2 divine weapons or divine arts. Therefore, even a false god like him was tempted by this news. "Are you sure?" Yu Huang said. Fatso shook his head. "I'm not sure. I only heard it from them." "Where?" "I'm very familiar with the Qinyang mountain range. If there really is a treasure, I should know about it." Willow Tree said. Fatso said, "According to them, it seems to be a place called Yellow Sand Valley." "Yellow Sand Valley?" Willow Tree was stunned and sneered, "Are you kidding? I've been to Yellow Sand Valley before. It's just a desolate valley with no treasures at all. I don't know about that. However, I don't think the two of them are talking. Because they are all 5-star combat emperors." Fatso said. 5-star battle emperor? Willow Tree was stunned. If they were 5-star combat emperors, then this matter might be true. Qin Feiyang asked, "What about the woman?" "She was tortured by dozens of beggars for an entire night. I killed her this morning. Fat Lord even recorded it. Do you want to see it? It's very interesting." Fatso smiled wretchedly. "Get lost." Qin Feiyang's face darkened. Willow Tree and Yu Huang were also speechless. He actually recorded it? This bastard, what was he thinking? As for the 6 elders, they looked to each other in dismay. They did not expect the pagoda master to end up in such a miserable state. How pitiful. Fatso smiled and turned to look at Qin Feiyang. He asked, "Boss, should we go to Yellow Sand Valley to take a look?" Qin Feiyang pondered for a while. He looked at Willow Tree and asked, "How far is Yellow Sand Valley from here?" "Not far. With my cultivation and speed, it'll only take 200 to 300 breaths. Moreover, there's a teleportation gate. We can arrive there in an instant." Willow Tree said. "Then let's go and take a look. It won't take much time anyway." Qin Feiyang said. "Okay." Willow Tree nodded and opened a teleportation gate. The group entered in a single file. Before Willow Tree entered the teleportation gate, he set up a divine power boundary around the courtyard. In the northwest of Qinyang mountain range, there were a few towering mountains that formed a huge valley. In the valley, there were bushes and weeds everywhere. Because it was cylindrical, sunlight could not shine in, so it was very humid. There was also a thick layer of rotten leaves on the ground. In the valley, there were many wild beasts looking for food. There were even more flying insects and poisonous insects. Swoosh! Qin Feiyang and the others landed in the valley. The aura emitted by Willow Tree and the others instantly silenced the valley. The wild beasts and flying insects instinctively hid. Qin Feiyang scanned the valley. The valley was about 500 to 600 feet long, filled with the smell of decay. It looked very desolate. Yu Huang said, "It really is a desolate valley. Let's look for it." Qin Feiyang said. Yu Huang, Willow Tree, and the 6 elders immediately spread out and started a carpet search. Qin Feiyang also landed in the center of the valley. He looked around and flipped over the rotten leaves on the ground, revealing a layer of very wet yellow sand. Qin Feiyang grabbed a handful of yellow sand and carefully observed it. He found that the yellow sand was very fine. Fatso walked around and came to Qin Feiyang's side. He asked, "How is it? Did you find anything unusual?" "No, it's just a very ordinary kind of sand." Qin Feiyang shook his head and threw away the sand in his hand. Then he looked at Willow Tree's group. After searching the valley, they searched along the giant peaks on all sides. A few moments later, Willow Tree was the first to return. He shook his head and said, "I didn't find any treasure. I think that man and woman were just talking nonsense. Let's wait for Yu Huang and the others." Qin Feiyang said. Yu Huang and the 6 elders also returned one after another. They also didn't find anything. Seems like there really isn't any treasure. Fatso shook his head regretfully. He suddenly thought of something and looked at Willow Tree. "Use your inner sight and search carefully again. Because there are some things that can't be seen with the naked eye. It's obvious. There can't be any treasure in this kind of place where even birds don't shit." Willow Tree was helpless. But he still followed his words and released his inner sight. He didn't even let go of the underground. A few dozen breaths later, Willow Tree retracted his inner sight and said, "Nothing." "Then what's going on? It can't be out of nowhere." Fatso frowned. "Let's go. Don't waste time. Let's go to the Heavenly Sun Empire." Qin Feiyang laughed. Willow Tree opened another portal. Just as Qin Feiyang was about to enter the portal, Fatso suddenly grabbed him and said, "Why don't we wait a little longer?" "Wait for what?" Qin Feiyang was suspicious. "Those two are also rushing towards Quicksand Valley. If there really is a treasure, they definitely know where it is hidden. Let's just hide in the dark and take a look. It won't waste too much time anyway." Fatso said. "If they are really 5-star combat emperors and don't know the coordinates here, then they will need at least half an hour to arrive." Willow Tree said. "It's only half an hour. What does it matter? If there really is a treasure, wouldn't it be a pity if we miss it?" Fatso said. Qin Feiyang glanced at Fatso and said helplessly, "All right, then let's wait a little longer. Yu Huang, go up and take a look. Inform us when they arrive." "Okay." Yu Huang nodded and turned into a stream of light. He flew above the valley and instantly merged into the void. Time passed little by little. Whoosh! Yu Huang suddenly appeared in front of Qin Feiyang and said in surprise, "There really is a man and a woman coming this way." Qin Feiyang said, "Let's go and take a look." A group of people followed behind Yu Huang and swept to the top of a mountain in the south. They saw 2 figures coming at lightning speed. Both of them looked very young, about 25 or 26 years old. They were both wearing gorgeous clothes. Their appearance was also quite extraordinary. The man's eyebrows were as sharp as swords. His figure was tall and there was an insufferably arrogant look between his eyebrows. The woman was beautiful. Her hair was like a waterfall. Her figure was exquisite and tall. Her skin was as soft as water. However, her expression was somewhat cold and she gave off an icy feeling that kept people 1,000 miles away. "They are indeed 5-star combat emperors." Yu Huang mumbled. How could it be them? However, Lu Mu's brows furrowed tightly. "You know them?" Fatso asked. "Yes. Both of them have powerful backgrounds." Willow Tree nodded. His eyes were extremely solemn. "Powerful backgrounds?" Fatso, Yu Huang, and Qin Feiyang glanced at each other and then at the 6 elders. They realized that the 6 of them also looked solemn. They could even see a trace of fear. This made Qin Feiyang and Yu Huang puzzled. One had to know. Willow Tree and the rest were pseudo-gods. How could they be so fearful? What were the identities of this man and woman? That man is a famous playboy in the Black Tortoise community. People call him Young Master Feng. As for that woman, she's also a young lady from a wealthy family. It can be said that their lives are more precious than pseudo-gods like us. Willow Tree said in a deep voice. Qin Feiyang, Fatso, and Yu Huang were stunned. More precious than pseudo-gods. You must be kidding. Willow Tree suddenly looked at Qin Feiyang and said, we can't provoke these two. Let's go. What are their backgrounds? Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows. Willow Tree said, they are both from the Vanga League. Vanga League? Qin Feiyang was stunned. He turned his head and curiously sized up the man and woman. No wonder they were so arrogant. It turned out that they were from the Vanga League. Yu Huang said disdainfully, it's just a Vanga League. You're so weak. If they were just ordinary disciples of the Vanga League, we wouldn't care. But one of them is the son of the League leader. His name is Ningyifeng. People call him Young Master Feng. The other is the daughter of the Vice League leader. Her name is Zhao Shimeng. People call her Fairy Meng. How can we not be afraid? Willow Tree said angrily. This, Yu Huang's eyes flashed. They were the children of the League leader and Vice League leader. However, Fatso laughed happily. What are you laughing at? Willow Tree and the 6 elders looked at him suspiciously. Fatso said, since they are so powerful, the treasure here must be real. So what if it's real? Do you dare to fight with them? Willow Tree said. Why not? Fatso smiled arrogantly. Chapter 1589. It's over, it's over. Willow Tree immediately had an uneasy premonition in his heart. The same went for the 6 elders. These people who were not afraid of anything, who knew what stupid things they would do later. Let's go to the castle first. Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed and disappeared with everyone in an instant. After a while, Ningyifeng and Ningyifeng entered the valley. Zhao Shimeng glanced at the valley and frowned. Is this the Yellow Sand Valley? Ningyifeng took out a map. After carefully comparing it, he nodded and said, it's here. Zhao Shimeng looked around and said, how can there be treasures left by a fake god in such a broken place? Are you sure the information is accurate? I'm not sure. Ningyifeng shook his head. Not sure. Zhao Shimeng's beautiful eyebrows suddenly raised and said angrily, if you're not sure, why are you telling me so confidently? If I didn't say so, would you have come? Ningyifeng felt wronged. Aren't you bored? Zhao Shimeng was obviously a little angry. Sister, don't be anxious. Whether there are treasures or not, we'll know once we find them. Besides, this is what the Grand Deacon said. It shouldn't be fake. Ningyifeng said. The Grand Deacon said that? Zhao Shimeng was surprised. Yes. Yesterday, I accidentally overheard the Grand Deacon and the Second Deacon talking about a treasure map left by a fake god. I'm going to find time to take a look. At first, I didn't care. Later, I had an idea. Why not take this opportunity to show off? So that my father won't say that I'm useless all day. So, I thought of a way to steal the treasure map from the Grand Deacon. Ningyifeng chuckled. You dare to steal the Grand Deacon's things? Zhao Shimeng was dumbfounded. It doesn't matter. When we find the treasure and return safely, I think the Grand Deacon will not blame me. Instead, he will praise me. Of course, he will also praise you. Ningyifeng grinned. Zhao Shimeng rolled her eyes. Inside the castle, Fatso looked at Willow Tree and said suspiciously, who is this Grand Deacon? Why are they so afraid? The Great Deacon is a big shot in the Vanga League. His position in the Vanga League is the same as the Nether Pavilion's Grand Elder. Apart from the Alliance Master and Vice Alliance Master, his position is the highest. Willow Tree said. I see. Fatso nodded. Outside. Within the valley. Ning Yifeng and his companion swooped down, landing on the ground in the middle of the valley. Ning Yifeng immediately started searching. Zhao Shimen, however, remained motionless and impatient. Sister, what are you doing? Help me find it. Ning Yifeng urged when he saw the situation. Not interested. Zhao Shimen said indifferently. Ning Yifeng said discontentedly, are you used to being the eldest young miss? Don't you know how to work hard? Who said I didn't work hard enough? If I didn't work hard, would I be where I am now? I just don't think there's any treasure here. It's just a waste of time. Actually, I'm quite interested in that Qin Feiyang. Zhao Shimen said, her eyes flickering. Qin Feiyang. Ning Yifeng raised his eyebrows and warned, although I've never seen this person, I know he's not a good person from the rumors. You'd better not provoke him, lest you get burned. I didn't expect there to be someone you're afraid of. Zhao Shimen said in surprise. Who said I'm afraid of him? I'm the son of the leader of the Vanga League. Why would I care about a clown like him? I just don't want you to be in danger. Ning Yifeng pursed his lips. Come on. Although you're the son of the leader, others probably don't think much of you. After all, he's the one who destroyed the main tower, stole the 7-star sword, killed the second elder of the Nether Hall, and kidnapped Mu Shinkong. Maybe in his eyes, you're just a useless playboy. Zhao Shimen said. How am I a playboy? Bullying others? Or bullying others? Ning Yifeng was a little annoyed. Zhao Shimen was speechless. I'm just saying. Why are you angry? Nonsense. Would you be angry if I told you that you're just a vase that's good for nothing? Ning Yifeng snorted coldly. How dare you? Zhao Shimen revealed a fierce look. Ning Yifeng smiled embarrassedly and waved his hand. Okay, let's save the nonsense for later. Hurry up and help find. Zhao Shimen rolled her eyes and began to search in the valley. Inside the ancient castle. Fatso asked, Boss, what do you think? Qin Feiyang smiled faintly and said, he's arrogant, but not arrogant. Not bad. Willow Tree's eyelids twitched. Young master, I beg you, please hold back. Don't do anything rash. Qin Feiyang glanced at Willow Tree. Seeing his nervous face, he couldn't help but want to laugh. However, it could also be seen how prestigious the Vanga League was in the Black Tortoise world. Outside. The two of them searched the entire valley, but the result was the same as Qin Feiyang and the others. They didn't find anything. Ning Yifeng stood in the middle of the valley, looking at the treasure map in his hand, his brows tightly knitted together. Zhao Shimen walked to his side, glanced at the treasure map, and said faintly, I think this is a worthless map. Impossible. Ning Yifeng shook his head. Are you stupid? Is the treasure map definitely real? Even if it's real, it might have been taken by someone else first. Zhao Shimen said. That's true. Ning Yifeng said in realization. I told you that there's something wrong with your head. You don't believe me? What a waste of time. Go back and secretly return the treasure map to the Grand Deacon. Otherwise, you'll definitely be beaten. Zhao Shimen gloated. Are you happy that I'm beaten? Are you still my sister? Ning Yifeng said unhappily. I'm not your sister. Zhao Shimen rolled her eyes and said. Zhao Shimen, your words make me sad. Although the two of us aren't siblings, I've always treated you as my sister. Do you still have a conscience? Ning Yifeng said angrily. Tch. Zhao Shimen's face was full of disdain. There's a good saying, beating is love, scolding is love. Looking at you guys quarreling here, I really don't have the heart to interrupt you. But suddenly, a mocking voice sounded in the sky. Who is it? Zhao Shimeng and Ning Yifeng's face changed and quickly looked up. There's actually someone else. At the same time. Inside the castle. Qin Feiyang and the others were also shocked. After coming back to his senses, Qin Feiyang waved his hand, and the scene quickly changed and finally locked on to the void above. A purple-clothed young man stood there. His age was similar to Ning Yifeng and Ning Yifeng. His thick black hair was tied behind his back, and he was playing with a jade pendant in his hand. His black gem-like eyes were suffused with a playful light. And this person's cultivation had also reached 5-star combat emperor. It's actually him. Willow Tree was shocked. Who? Fatso asked. The son of Fengtian Palace's palace master, Li Chang. Willow Tree said. What? Another big shot? Fatso was shocked. What exactly is going on? Ning Yifeng and Zhao Shimeng came to look for treasure, and Li Chang actually came too. Is there such a coincidence? Willow Tree raised his eyebrows. Qin Feiyang's eyes flickered, and said indifferently, I think this matter is not simple. Not simple. Willow Tree looked at him suspiciously. Qin Feiyang smiled mysteriously and said, wait and see, maybe there will be a good show later. Outside. Ning Yifeng and Zhao Shimeng looked at Li Chang in the sky, and their eyes flashed with a cold light. Obviously. The relationship between the two was not good. Zhao Shimeng said, why are you here? Li Chang took a step forward and landed in front of the two, and said jokingly, I'm here specifically to wait for your Vanga League. Waiting for my Vanga League? Zhao Shimeng was stunned, and said, what do you mean? Don't you understand? This is actually a scam. Li Chang smiled. A scam? Ning Yifeng and Zhao Shimeng's faces were even more confused. Let me explain it to you like this. The treasure map in your hands was drawn by Fengtian Palace, and it was also us who deliberately sent it to your great deacon. But your great deacon didn't know, and thought he had picked up a treasure. Li Chang smiled as he played with the jade pendant. What? Their eyes trembled. Do you understand now? Actually, Fengtian Palace's target is also your great deacon, but I didn't expect that it would lead you two here. Things are really unpredictable. Li Chang shook his head and smiled. Zhao Shimeng said in a deep voice, why did Fengtian Palace do this? It's very simple. When you get this treasure map, whether it's real or not, your great deacon will come and take a look. And Fengtian Palace can ambush him here. Li Chang said. There was a murderous look in his eyes. What? You actually use such a despicable trick, aren't you afraid of incurring the wrath of our Vanga League? Ning Yifeng said angrily. If it was in the past, we would definitely be afraid. After all, the foundations of our two sides are similar. If we really fight, both sides will suffer. But now, Li Chang raised the corner of his mouth. What now? Ning Yifeng said. You've heard of Qin Feiyang, right? Li Chang said. In the castle. Fatso said in astonishment, Boss, why is it related to you again? How would I know? Qin Feiyang was also very depressed. Could it be that he was born to be hated? Ning Yifeng looked at Li Chang and said, do you still need to ask? Of course we know Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang destroyed the chief tower, the people of the Vanga League should feel very embarrassed. After all, the chief tower is the follower of the Vanga League. And what we need to do is to shift the blame to Qin Feiyang. What I mean is, after killing the great deacon, we will let people spread the news that Qin Feiyang killed your great deacon. At that time, when the Vanga League and Qin Feiyang are both injured, Fengtian Palace will come out to destroy the Vanga League and unify the Black Tortoise world. Li Chang laughed. You bastards are too shameless. Ning Yifeng shouted angrily. Shameless? My young master Feng, you can't be that naive, right? Our two forces have been at odds for so many years, haven't we always been thinking of ways to get rid of each other? Although the Great Deacon didn't come this time, it's the same if you two come. Maybe killing the two of you will have a better effect than killing the Great Deacon. Chapter 1590. Looking at the arrogant and lively Li Chang outside, the corner of the fatty's mouth twitched fiercely. He looked at Qin Feiyang and said, as expected, it's not that simple. However, is this person's brain stupid? How dare he say that he's going to frame you in front of you? Maybe he doesn't know that we're here. Willow Tree thought. No. If he's been lying in ambush here, then he should know. Qin Feiyang said. Knowing that you're here, he still dares to say it? Willow Tree was stunned. Don't forget, he's the son of the palace master of Fengtian Palace. I'm afraid that in his eyes, I'm just a little grasshopper who can jump around a little. And, if I'm not wrong, he's not the only one here. There are others who haven't shown up yet. After all, it's not a small matter to ambush the Grand Deacon of the Vangu League. It's impossible for Li Chang to be the only one. Qin Feiyang's eyes lit up. Outside. When Ning Yifeng and Ning Yifeng heard Li Chang's words, their expressions changed slightly. They shouted, "Sister, let's go." Zhao Shimeng didn't hesitate at all and immediately rushed out of the valley. Li Chang raised the corner of his mouth. Don't even think about touching Sister Meng, Ning Yifeng stood in front of Li Chang and said sternly. He. It's useless even if you stop me. Li Chang laughed and said loudly, Elders, let's do it. Boom. Before he could finish his sentence, 5 terrifying auras exploded outside the valley. Following closely. Surges of quasi-divinity energy surged in from all directions. In less than 3 breaths. A divine power barrier appeared and sealed the entire valley. Zhao Shimeng was about to rush out of the valley when she saw the situation. Her face turned pale and she immediately turned back and returned to Ning Yifeng's side. How is it? Ning Yifeng asked nervously. The valley is sealed. Judging from their aura, those 5 should be the first elder, second elder, third elder, fourth elder, and fifth elder of Fengtian Palace. Zhao Shimeng said in a deep voice. What? Ning Yifeng's body and mind trembled, his face deathly pale. The great elder of the Fengtian Palace was comparable to their great deacon. The second elder and the other 3 were also experts of the same level. With 5 super powerhouses lying in ambush outside, this was simply a dead end. Not to mention them, even if the Grand Deacon came, only death would await him. Whoosh! Soon. 5 aged figures entered the valley one after another. They stood in 5 different directions and surrounded Ning Yifeng and the other man. There were men and women among these 5 people. All of them had white hair and wrinkles all over their faces. However, their auras and gazes were extremely terrifying. They were like venomous snakes, causing people to tremble in fear. Seeing these 5 people appear, Ning Yifeng and Zhao Shimeng's faces were filled with terror. My goodness! These 5 old men are all stage 10 false god realm experts. Willow Tree was dumbfounded. So what if you're at the 10th stage? Wasn't the pagoda master also at stage 10? Didn't we kill him in the end? Yu Huang sneered. It's completely different. You don't know, whether it's the 10 great deacons of the Vangu League or the great elders of the Fengtian Palace, each of them has a divine artifact in a divine art. Willow Tree said in a deep voice. Yes. This is the reason why they can become the giants of the Black Tortoise world. The other 6 great elders spoke one after another. Their faces were extremely solemn. Yu Huang was stunned and said, in other words, there are 5 divine artifacts in front of us right now. Yes. Maybe there's more. Li Chang, Ning Yifeng, and Zhao Shimeng, because of their identities, they might also have divine artifacts. Willow Tree said. Good, good, that's a total of 8 divine artifacts. Yu Huang was excited. Ah! Willow Tree and the other 6 great elders were stunned. What was the meaning of this? Were they planning to rob these people? What a joke! They were from the Vanga League and the Fengtian Palace. Young master, I have to remind you. You've already offended the Tianyang Empire, the Nether Hall, and the main tower. If we offend the Vanga League and the Fengtian Palace, then we'll really become the enemy of the entire Black Tortoise world. Willow Tree said meaningfully. Didn't the main tower already destroy us? Moreover, destroying the main tower is the same as offending the Vanga League. As for the Fengtian Palace, they don't look like good people. If we offend them, then so be it. What's there to be afraid of? Yu Huang didn't care at all. Willow Tree couldn't find a reason to refute Yu Huang's words. Outside, Ning Yifeng swept his gaze over the 5 elders. His face was extremely gloomy as he said, although our 2 sides have been sworn enemies for many years, I have always respected all of you seniors. However, I never imagined that all of you would actually be so despicable. One of the old women in black laughed sinisterly. As long as we can destroy the Vanga League and unify the Black Tortoise world, it doesn't matter what methods we use. Do you have any shame? The Everlasting Alliance wants to get rid of you as well, but have we ever done anything like this to palace bestowment in all these years? Zhao Shimeng said angrily. The 5 of them didn't move at all. The old woman in black looked at Li Chang and laughed sinisterly. Haven't you had your eyes on Zhao Shimeng for a long time? Do you want me to keep her for you? Li Chang was stunned. He looked at Zhao Shimeng and shook his head. No need. There are many women in this world. She's not the only one. Not bad. A man shouldn't be tied down by a woman. The old woman in black nodded in approval. This person is a little scary. Fatso looked at Li Chang and muttered. Yes. If it were any other young man, they would definitely take the opportunity to possess a woman they've desired for a long time. But he didn't. This means that he's a very decisive person who cares about the big picture. But I don't think he's scary. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. If this person could be a little more humble, there was no doubt that he would be a very scary person. Unfortunately. Although this person was decisive, his character was too arrogant. At this moment, Li Chang, who was outside, suddenly looked up and glanced at the void. He jokingly said, Qin Feiyang, how long are you going to hide in the dark and watch? Qin Feiyang. Ning Yifeng and Zhao Shimeng were surprised. He's been lying in ambush here. Willow Tree's heart skipped a beat. He turned to look at Qin Feiyang and asked, what should we do now? What should we do? Nothing. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. His figure flashed and instantly appeared in the valley. You're Qin Feiyang. Ning Yifeng and Zhao Shimeng looked at Qin Feiyang in surprise. That's right. Qin Feiyang nodded. He took a step forward and landed not far away from Li Chang. He glanced at the 5 elders. Seeing him appear, the 5 elders were not surprised at all. Obviously, they already knew. Why are you here? Have you been bought over by Fengtian Palace? Zhao Shimeng asked. Bought over? Qin Feiyang was stunned. He turned to look at Zhao Shimeng and asked curiously, then tell me, what can Fengtian Palace use to buy me over? How would I know? If you haven't been bought over by them, then why are you here? I don't believe there's such a coincidence in this world. Zhao Shimeng said angrily. Then let me tell you, there really is such a coincidence in this world. Not long ago, one of my companions happened to meet you and happened to hear your conversation. So as early as half an hour ago, I was already here. Qin Feiyang said. Zhao Shimeng and Ning Yifeng looked at each other. So many coincidences. Why did it feel so ridiculous? Zhao Shimeng said, so you have nothing to do with Fengtian Palace. You can say no, but you can also say yes. Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed coldly. He turned to look at Li Chang and said with a smile, you know I'm here, but you still dare to say that you want to frame me. Are you that confident? I dared to say it because I'm not afraid of being heard by you. I know what you're capable of. However, my Fengtian Palace is not a clown like the main tower, Nether Hall, and Heavenly Sun Empire. Li Chang looked at him playfully. I didn't misjudge you. Not only are you confident, but you're also conceited. Qin Feiyang said with a smile. Thank you for the compliment. Now, I'll give you two choices. First, submit to the Fengtian Palace and obey the orders of the Fengtian Palace. Second, I'll send you and Ningyi to hell. Li Chang said. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, actually, there's a third choice. What choice? Li Chang said. Qin Feiyang said with a smile, give me your divine artifacts and I'll leave immediately. I won't interfere in your matters. Impudent. The black-clothed old woman and the others were furious when they heard this. Li Chang raised his eyebrows slightly. What's going on? Are you trying to rob Li Chang and the others? Ningyi Feng and Zhao Shimen were also shocked. With me here, your plan may not succeed. But as long as I leave, Ningyi Feng and Zhao Shimen will be your puppets. You can do whatever you want with them. Qin Feiyang looked at Li Chang and said with a smile. Huh, Li Chang suddenly laughed and shook his head, you're also a very confident and conceited person. Qin Feiyang said, I'm confident, but I'm not conceited. There's still a little difference between us. Interesting, interesting. In so many years, other than the Vanga League, you're the first person who dares to challenge my Fengtian Palace. Li Chang laughed. In so many years, your Fengtian Palace is also the first person who dares to ignore me, Qin Feiyang. It's indeed interesting. Qin Feiyang said with a smile. Li Chang's smile froze as he looked at Qin Feiyang in astonishment. This guy is really, as the rumors say, lawless. Zhao Shimen muttered. Maybe he really has the confidence to go against Fengtian Palace. Ningyi Feng said secretly. Then let's wait and see. Zhao Shimen murmured, looking at Qin Feiyang, her bright eyes flashed with an inexplicable brilliance. Huh, Li Chang finally came back to his senses and laughed, kid, your arrogance is really beyond my imagination. You must continue to be arrogant later, don't let me down. I promise I won't. Qin Feiyang laughed. Humph. Chapter 1591. Boom. The old woman and the other four immediately released their divine power. 5 false gods, and all of them were at the 10th stage. When they released their divine power at the same time, the destructive power was astonishing. The valley was instantly shattered, and the earth collapsed crazily. Qin Feiyang didn't hesitate to activate his armor. But at the same time, Ningyi Feng and Zhao Shimen also had a battle suit appear on their bodies. Ningyi Feng's battle suit was completely golden, as if it was cast in gold, which imperceptibly added a bit of majesty to him. Zhao Shimen's battle suit was a silk skirt, as thin as a cicada's wings. It fluttered in the wind, making her look like a dancing butterfly. Qin Feiyang looked at the two, his eyes shining. The two battle suits were both glowing with divine light. And they both had a strong divine power. Obviously, they were also two divine artifacts. However, even if they activated their armor and battle suits, they still couldn't block the impact of the divine power. Blood flowed from the corners of their mouths, their bodies were like fallen leaves in the wind, unable to stand steadily. Brother Qin, this can't go on. Ningyi Feng shouted anxiously. Obviously, he had pinned his hopes on Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed, and with a wave of his hand, the willow tree and Yu Huang suddenly appeared. One man and one beast immediately released their divine power to contend with the old woman and the other four. There was a rumbling sound. The divine power barrier that enveloped the yellow sand valley instantly collapsed. The divine power rolled in all directions, destroying heaven and earth. But Willow Tree and Yuhuang's cultivation couldn't be compared to the old woman and the other four, so they couldn't resist. It's useless. Just give up struggling. Li Chang laughed wildly. Is that so? Qin Feiyang raised the corner of his mouth. The next moment, the 6 great elders appeared in front of him in unison. What? Aren't they the elders of the main tower? You didn't kill them? Li Chang's smile froze. Ning Yifeng and Zhao Shimen were also shocked. As for the old woman in black and the other four, their expressions didn't change much. Because they were confident. Even if the willow tree, Yu Huang and the 6 elders worked together, they could kill them one by one. Qin Feiyang didn't answer Li Chang. He looked at the 6 elders and shouted, "Attack!" Boom! The 6 gritted their teeth and immediately joined the battle. The divine power surged like a waterfall. In addition to Baiming Yuhuang and Willow Wood, Qin Feiyang had a total of 8 false divinities. Although their strength's as strength, they could barely resist the divine power's divine power. Sister, send a message immediately. Ning Yifeng said. Zhao Shimeng nodded, nodding her head, seeing Zhao's face. The 5 elders, as if news of this spread back to the Eternal Alliance, then with the Eternal Alliance's strength and Qin Feiyang's help, even his celestial bestowment palace wouldn't be able to handle it. Quick! Li Chang shouted. The old woman and the other 4 exchanged glances, killing intent surging in their eyes. Clang! In the next moment, 5 divine artifacts flew out from between their eyebrows. They were 5 combat swords. Moreover, regardless of their length, width, or color, they were all exactly the same. They were entirely golden, shining with 10,000 streaks of divine light. The terrifying sword aura shattered the mountains and the earth. Damn it! Seeing this, Ning Yifeng and Zhao Shimeng's faces turned pale. Although they had battle suits, they couldn't recover them at all. How could they withstand the attack of 5 divine artifacts? Young Master, Chang Shui! Willow Tree shouted. How terrifying was the recovery of 5 divine artifacts. Although he had the 7-star sword and Yu Huang had the snake scale, they were no match for the 5 of them. Hearing Willow Tree's shout, Qin Feiyang took out Chang Shui without hesitation and threw it to Willow Tree. Yu Huang and the 6 of you, come with me to recover Chang Shui. Today, we will kill them all. With Chang Shui in my hand, the world is mine. Willow Tree's confidence soared. After a shout, the power of the false god rushed toward Chang Shui. Yu Huang and the 6 elders also did their best to recover Chang Shui. What did it mean to have 8 false gods recover at the same time? In the blink of an eye, Chang Shui shone brightly and covered the sky. More than half of the Qingyang mountain range was annihilated in an instant. It was as if the end of the world had arrived. Those who lived outside the mountain range sensed the terrifying aura and fled for their lives. Is this the Chang Shui that destroyed the Qinghong sword? At the same time, Ning Yifeng and Zhao Shimen were also shocked. Li Chang, the old woman, and the others were also shocked and full of greed. Kill him, and snatch pale snow. Li Chang roared and then disappeared. Qin Feiyang looked at the place where Li Chang disappeared and narrowed his eyes. It seemed that this person also had a space divine item. Ning Yifeng watched Li Chang disappear and said angrily, "Damn it, I should have asked my father for a space divine item. What's the use of saying this now?" Zhao Shimen glared at him and looked around. The old woman and the others were still in a circle, surrounding them. It was impossible to escape. Chang Shui's power was too terrifying. If they didn't hide, they would have been killed by Chang Shui before Willow Tree and the others could kill the old woman and the others. However, just as they were in despair, Qin Feiyang waved his hand. The two immediately felt their bodies lighten and then they arrived at a strange place. Where is this? The two of them looked around in bewilderment. This place was not big, but there were quite a lot of people and beasts. There was an altar next to them, on which there was an iron box and a pill furnace with a cluster of black pill fire floating above. This is my space divine item. Qin Feiyang's voice sounded. He stood beside the two, but he didn't look at them. As he spoke, he waved his hand and an image quickly appeared in the void in front of them. In the image, Willow Tree and the others were constantly reviving Chang Shui. The old woman and the others were also frantically reviving their battle swords. Space divine item. Ning Yifeng and Zhao Shimeng heard Qin Feiyang's voice and were slightly stunned. They then turned to look at Qin Feiyang. Ning Yifeng smiled and said, "Thank you, Brother Qin." Zhao Shimeng also immediately revived the image crystal. Golden Wolf King. But suddenly, Qin Feiyang shouted. The Golden Wolf King, who was lying on the ground, suddenly jumped up and bit Zhao Shimeng's image crystal. The sudden change shocked the two and made them quickly retreat. Zhao Shimeng said angrily, "Qin Feiyang, what do you mean?" "I don't mean anything. I'm just worried that your Vanga League people will come and kill me too. After all, I'm the one who killed your little follower Ta." Qin Feiyang said with a smile without looking back. Zhao Shimeng shouted, "Then are you sure you can kill Li Chang and the others?" Qin Feiyang turned to look at Zhao Shimeng and said lightly, "Even if I'm not sure, I can't let your Vanga League get involved. That's too much." Zhao Shimeng gritted her teeth. "Sister, calm down. Let me talk to him." Ning Yifeng secretly comforted her. He looked at Qin Feiyang and said with a smile, "Brother Qin, if it weren't for you this time, Sister Meng, and I definitely wouldn't have been able to escape death. Therefore, you can be considered as our savior. How can we do something ungrateful? You can't judge a book by its cover. How do I know you won't do such a thing?" Qin Feiyang said. Ning Yifeng frowned and said, "Then what do you want to let me pass the news back? There's no room for negotiation." Qin Feiyang shook his head. But before his voice fell, a cold light flashed in Zhao Shimeng's eyes. She rushed to Lu Hong and grabbed Lu Hong's neck. Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows. White-eyed Wolf, Fatso, Ling Yunfei, Luo Qingzhu, Dan Wangkai, in short. All the people and beasts in the castle immediately got up and stared at Zhao Shimeng gloomily. Especially Lu Zheng. He suddenly jumped up and rushed to the front of Zhao Shimeng. Murderous intent surged in his eyes as he shouted, "If you dare to hurt her, I won't let you go." Zhao Shimeng didn't care at all and said coldly, "If you dare to take another step forward, I will kill her." "Don't." Lu Zheng hurriedly waved his hand and quickly retreated. Ning Yifeng was also a little caught off guard and said, "Sister, what are you doing? These people are desperados. And they also know that because of the headquarters, the Vanga League won't let them go. So I dare to conclude that they will take the opportunity to imprison us and use us as hostages to threaten my father." Zhao Shimeng said in a deep voice. Ning Yifeng was stunned. He glanced at Qin Feiyang and the others and immediately became vigilant. He looked at Qin Feiyang and said, "Don't blame us. We have no choice." "Ridiculous. Who just said that they won't do ungrateful things?" Fatso said angrily. "There's no other way. As Brother Qin said, you can't judge a book by its cover. We have to prevent you from using us as hostages. But I can guarantee that when my father comes, I will help you put in a good word and ask him to be merciful." Ning Yifeng said. "What if your father insists on killing us?" Fatso said. "Then I have no choice but to help you collect your bodies. This is better than leaving your bodies in the wilderness." After Ning Yifeng finished speaking, he took out the image crystal. However, Ning Yifeng and Zhao Shimeng did not know that one person was missing in the ancient castle. The missing one was the spirit serpent emperor. Generally, in the ancient castle, whether it was the white-eyed wolf, the golden wolf king, or the double-winged snow eagle, they would shrink their bodies. The spirit serpent emperor was no exception. In the ancient castle, its body would usually shrink to half a foot long. In addition, Fatso and the others were blocking in front. If one did not pay special attention, it would be difficult to discover its existence. As soon as Zhao Shimeng and Ning Yifeng entered the ancient castle, they kidnapped Lu Hong and did not have time to check carefully. However, Qin Feiyang and the others knew. Because this was Qin Feiyang's instruction. Lu Hong also knew. Because at this moment, the spirit serpent emperor had already crawled into her arms and was quietly approaching Zhao Shimeng's wrist. The image crystal in Ning Yifeng's hand quickly recovered. But the moment before it recovered, the spirit serpent emperor bared its fangs and bit the back of Zhao Shimeng's hand. Although she was wearing a battle suit, her hands were exposed. "What is it?" She immediately cried out in alarm and hurriedly looked down. At the same time, Lu Hong grabbed Zhao Shimeng's wrist, a cold light surging in her eyes. She pulled hard and Zhao Shimeng involuntarily released her 5 fingers. At the same time, Lu Zheng also stepped forward and kicked Zhao Shimeng's stomach without the slightest mercy. "Ah!" Zhao Shimeng immediately screamed and flew out, smashing hard on the wall behind her. Her face was slightly pale and a trace of blood flowed from the corner of her mouth. If it were not for that battle suit, Lu Zheng's kick would have taken her life. After all, Lu Zheng's current strength was quite terrifying. It seemed to be slow, but all this happened in an instant. Ning Yifeng heard Zhao Shimeng scream and turned his head to look, but it was already too late. Buzz! At this moment, the image crystal in his hand was fully recovered. An illusory figure quickly appeared. But before the shadow completely appeared, the golden wolf king next to him pounced again, revealing its ghastly fangs and smashing the image crystal in one bite. Chapter 1592. Lu Zheng grabbed Lu Hong's hand and asked with concern, "Are you all right?" "I'm fine." Lu Hong shook her head and didn't resist. It seemed that under Lu Zheng's relentless pursuit, Lu Hong had begun to try to accept him. Zhao Shimeng patted the back of her hand awkwardly and looked at it in surprise. There were 2 teeth marks on it, and blood was flowing out. "This is," her gaze trembled. At the same time, the phantom snake emperor appeared and grinned at Zhao Shimeng. "Damn it!" Zhao Shimeng was instantly furious. Ning Yifeng quickly took out an antidote pill, ran to Zhao Shimeng, and put it in her mouth. The Golden Wolf King mocked, "How dare you mess around in the castle? You're really stupid." Zhao Shimeng flew into a rage out of humiliation. Ning Yifeng looked at Qin Feiyang warily and said, "Brother Qin, this is a misunderstanding," but before Ning Yifeng could finish, Qin Feiyang waved his hand and said, "I don't want to hear any explanation. I only know that you did do something that repaid kindness with ingratitude." "Then what do you want?" Zhao Shimeng said angrily. "What do I want?" Qin Feiyang raised the corner of his mouth and said, "Take off your battle suits." "What?" Ning Yifeng's face turned pale. Qin Feiyang said indifferently, "My principle is that if you do something wrong, you must pay the price." "Impossible." Zhao Shimeng said angrily. "I'm afraid that's not up to you." Qin Feiyang chuckled and nodded to the Golden Wolf King. The Golden Wolf King understood and opened his mouth, revealing a mouthful of sharp fangs, and walked toward the 2 of them step by step. The 2 of them kept retreating, their faces full of panic. "I advise you to take the initiative to hand it over. If you force me to take action, the consequences are not something you can bear." The Golden Wolf King laughed. "Okay, I'll give it to you. Ning Yifeng said in a deep voice. Zhao Shimeng said, Ning Yifeng, you're yielding just like that. Do you still have any backbone? Sister, you're being silly. Do you still not understand what's going on? We are in the castle. Even if father and the others come, they won't be able to save us. Right now, we have to follow their wishes. Preserving our lives is more important. Ning Yifeng sighed inwardly. He looked at Qin Feiyang and said, we can give you our battle suits, but you have to promise not to hurt us. Once the battle is over, you have to let us go. The Golden Wolf King said, you still know how to negotiate terms. Looks like you haven't been scared out of your wits. But now, do you have the right to negotiate terms? I'm talking to Qin Feiyang. What does it have to do with you? Shut up. Ning Yifeng said furiously. Qin Feiyang said lightly, its words are also my words. Do you have any objections? Ning Yifeng's heart trembled. Originally, he was still wondering why Qin Feiyang had so many fierce beasts around him. So it was because of his personality. He treated the beasts like a friend. Hurry up. The Golden Wolf King shouted impatiently. Ning Yifeng said, if you don't agree to my terms, I won't give it to you even if I die. Idiot. If you have the ability, then go and die. We can just pick up a ready-made one. The Golden Wolf King sneered. Ning Yifeng's body stiffened. That's right. If he and Zhao Shimeng died, the 2 battle suits would be ownerless, which would be convenient for these people. The Golden Wolf King joked, why don't you guys self-destruct? Maybe you can hurt us. You, Ning Yifeng was furious. Self-destruction, wasn't it equivalent to suicide? This beast was simply taking the opportunity to humiliate him. Kill. Suddenly. The willow tree's stern voice sounded outside. Ning Yifeng and Ning Yifeng were startled. They quickly looked at the screen behind Qin Feiyang and saw Willow Tree controlling Chang Shui to slash at the old woman in black. Sharp edge, tearing the sky and splitting the earth. This is an opportunity. Ning Yifeng's eyes flickered. The battle outside had officially begun. The attention of Qin Feiyang and the group would definitely be attracted by the battle outside. Then he could take the opportunity to attack the people around Qin Feiyang again. He glanced at Fatso and the rest from the corner of his eye and discovered that Lu Hong and the Spirit Serpent Emperor had the lowest cultivation level. Hence, he targeted the Spirit Serpent Emperor. This was because Lu Hong was now under the protection of Lu Zheng. There was no chance for him to attack her. However, when he glanced at Qin Feiyang, he discovered that Qin Feiyang was not paying attention to the battle outside at all. Besides Qin Feiyang, the Golden Wolf King, Fatso and the rest also did not look at the battle outside. They were still staring at him and Zhao Shimeng. It was as if they did not care about the battle outside at all. Aren't you guys worried? Ning Yifeng was stunned. The group smiled but did not say anything. Ning Yifeng was somewhat caught off guard. What do you want to do? Fatso smiled mockingly. Ning Yifeng's heart trembled. Could it be that these people had already seen through his thoughts? It seems that you guys want me to attack. Golden Wolf King grinned and suddenly pounced on Ning Yifeng fiercely. Ning Yifeng's expression changed and he quickly said, okay, I'll give it to you. You can also change the condition. Don't kill us. Okay. Qin Feiyang nodded. I hope you're a man of your word. Ning Yifeng took a deep look at Qin Feiyang. He gritted his teeth, took off the battle suit from his body and flew toward Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang grabbed it and directly erased the blood contract inside. He then looked at Zhao Shimeng. Sister, give it to them quickly. At most, I'll give you another one after we escape. Ning Yifeng secretly urged her. Zhao Shimeng glanced at Ning Yifeng and then looked at Qin Feiyang. With a thought, the battle suit on her body automatically took off. Qin Feiyang took a step forward and quickly erased the blood contract inside. He then kept the two battle suits. Next. He no longer paid attention to Ningifeng and turned to look at the scene in front of him. Zhao Shimen kept staring at Qin Feiyang's back. There was a trace of cold light flashing in the depths of her eyes. In the blink of an eye. Outside. In the face of Chang Shue's attack, the old woman in black did not have the slightest fear. She looked at the other four elders and shouted, "Activate the sword formation." Okay. The four elders nodded. The five of them waved their hands and 5 battle swords rushed into the sky. The sword tip faced up and the sword hilt faced down, forming a circular sword formation. Clang! Boom! As soon as the sword formation was formed, divine light shone. Whether it was the momentum or the sharpness, it soared several times in an instant. Then, rays of shocking sword light surged out of the sword formation and turned into a terrifying wave of sword qi, rushing toward Chang Shui. The earth collapsed and the void collapsed. The terrifying sword light destroyed everything. This sword formation was originally used to deal with the Grand Deacon of the Vanga League. Now it's yours. The old woman laughed sinisterly. Willow Tree laughed and said, "You want to compete with Chang Shui with a mere sword formation? You underestimate it. I have also heard of the power of Chang Shui. It can destroy the rainbow sword because the rainbow sword is too weak. Our 5 battle swords can't be compared to the cyan rainbow sword." The 5 of them sneered. "I advise you not to be too confident." The corner of Willow Tree's mouth lifted. Before his voice died away, Chang Shui suddenly collided with the huge wave. Without the slightest pause, he directly crushed it. What? The old woman and the others' expressions changed drastically. This sword formation combined the power of the 5 battle swords into one. It was not difficult to imagine the power of the 5 divine artifacts combined into one. They thought that even if the sword formation could not destroy Chang Shui, it could definitely block Chang Shui. However, they did not expect the result to be like this. This was a completely unstoppable situation. Are you surprised by this? Then let me tell you, the power that Chang Shui has shown is only the tip of the iceberg. Willow Tree sneered and controlled Chang Shui to slash at the sword formation. Arrogant. The old woman was furious. She looked at the other 4 and shouted, "Merge." The 4 of them nodded vigorously. The 5 battle swords floating in the air, accompanied by a deafening sound, merged into one battle sword. A world-destroying aura suddenly roared out. The merged battle sword was more than 10 meters long. Its entire body was glowing with a dazzling golden light. Even heaven and earth paled in comparison. The terrifying sword light tore through the sky and rushed to the top of the 9 heavens. The old woman stepped forward, grabbed the battle sword, and slashed in the air. A golden dragon formed by sword chi suddenly roared out. An elder behind Willow Tree suddenly thought of something and said in surprise, "Willow Tree, they seem to be using the 9 palaces sword formation." 9 palaces sword formation. Willow Tree's gaze trembled. He seemed to be very wary. However, a cold smile appeared on his face soon after. He said, "Who cares what sword formation it is? It's all rotten wood in front of Chang Shui. It can't withstand a single blow. Don't underestimate it. You should know that the 9 palaces sword formation is the strongest trump card of the 10 elders of the Fengtian Palace." The 6 elders were deeply worried. "Just wait and see," Willow Tree said confidently. Roar. Clang. Accompanied by a dragon's roar and a loud sound, Chang Shui and the golden dragon met in the void. In an instant, sparks flew all over the sky like fireworks, illuminating the world. The next moment, the golden dragon formed by sword chi let out a wail and shattered into pieces, quickly dissipating. The battle sword in the old woman's hand also dissipated. The 5 battle swords materialized in the air. This also meant that the 9 palaces' sword formation had been broken. How is this possible? The old woman and the others vomited blood, their old faces full of disbelief. Even the 9 palaces' sword formation could not stop Chang Shui. I told you, this is just the tip of the iceberg. Chang Shui's true power is enough to make you despair. Willow Tree roared into the sky, soared into the sky, grabbed Chang Shui, and charged toward the old woman. True power, the old woman muttered, her body and mind trembling. If what Willow Tree said was true, then how terrifying would Chang Shui be when he fully recovered? In fact, what Willow Tree said was Chang Shui's power of law, space-time travel. Of course. The people of the Black Tortoise world did not know about Chang Shui's power of law. Not to mention Chang Shui, even the ancient castle's power of law, time stop, was not known to the people of the Fengtian Palace. Although Zhuge Mingyang had displayed the power of laws in the main tower and the ancient castle, everyone in the main tower had been killed by him. The remaining 6 elders also submitted to Qin Feiyang. Therefore, other than Willow Tree and the others, no one in the Black Tortoise world knew that his 2 divine artifacts had the power of law. Even Mu Tianyang and Mu Qing did not know. Because when he killed the fire dragon and fought the giant python, Mu Tianyang and Mu Qing were still outside the volcano. Of course. Zhuge Mingyang might know. Chapter 1593. However, the power of laws of Chang Shui and the castle couldn't be used at will. They had to be fully recovered. Even if there were dozens of pseudo-divinities, it would still be impossible to fully awaken the 2 divine artifacts. Get out of the way. Seeing that the old woman was shocked by Chang Shui and didn't notice the willow tree in front of her, the other 4 people hurriedly shouted. The old woman suddenly trembled. She grabbed a sword and slashed at Willow Tree. Willow Tree grinned and raised Chang Shui to meet the sword. We can't fight Chang Shui head-on. The 4 people hurriedly shouted. The Qinghong sword was destroyed by Chang Shui. What if the sword was destroyed too? The old woman suddenly came to a realization. Seeing that Chang Shui and the sword were about to meet, the old woman quickly retracted her arm and then prepared to retreat with the 5 swords. Because before, when the sword formation was broken, the 5 swords were with the old woman. If she didn't take them away now, they would definitely fall into Willow Tree's hands. But at this moment, swish! 2 young men suddenly appeared. It was Qin Feiyang and Lu Zheng. They had been waiting for an opportunity in the castle. As soon as the 2 appeared, they grabbed 2 swords in front of the old woman and disappeared without a trace. This scene shocked the old woman and the others. But Willow Tree, Yu Huang, and the 6 elders were ecstatic. What could be more exciting than seizing 4 divine artifacts in one go? The most important thing was, without these artifacts, the elders of Fengtian Palace would lose their fangs. They were no longer a threat to them. Because not only did they have Chang Shui, but they also had the 7-star sword and the snake scale. Furthermore, the current situation was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for them. Willow Tree, go! Yu Huang transmitted his voice. Hearing this, Willow Tree immediately grabbed Chang Shui and charged toward the old woman. The old woman was still in a state of shock. By the time Willow Tree attacked, it was already too late for her to counterattack. Ah! A blood-curdling scream rang out as blood splattered everywhere. Chang Shui was indestructible. It directly pierced through her skull. Not only did it penetrate her mind, it even shattered her soul. Willow Tree, you deserve to die. The old woman's screams also woke up the other 4 people. When they saw the old woman's situation, they immediately bared their teeth and roared angrily. Willow Tree turned a deaf ear and snatched the sword from the old woman's hand. He pulled out the Chang Shui and stabbed the old woman's head. Blood splattered across the sky. The old woman died on the spot. This, inside the castle. Ning Yifeng and Zhao Shimen were both dumbfounded. Not only did he steal the 5 swords, but he also killed the old woman. Oh my God! This group of people was too terrifying. Whether it was Qin Feiyang and Lu Jing going out to snatch the swords, or Willow Tree taking the opportunity to kill the old woman, their cooperation was flawless. The most terrifying thing was that dagger. Without that dagger, no matter how powerful Qin Feiyang and the others were, no matter how good their cooperation was, it would be useless. At the same time, Li Chang, who was hiding in the space divine item, also turned pale. He was even trembling. In his eyes, in addition to disbelief, there was also deep fear. He finally understood why Qin Feiyang had always been so confident. With such a heaven-defying divine artifact in hand, if it were him, he would also be so confident. Bang! The old woman fell to the ground, no longer breathing. A pseudo-god of a generation, a giant, fell just like that. Swish! Qin Feiyang also appeared. Willow Tree handed the sword to Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang grabbed the sword and waved it in the void a few times. He nodded and said with a smile, "Not bad, 7 divine artifacts. This trip was not in vain." 7. Aren't there 5 swords? Willow Tree was suspicious. Think about it carefully. Qin Feiyang smiled. Willow Tree pondered for a moment and said, "So that's how it is." There was no suspense. The young master must have snatched the battle suits of Ning Yifeng and Lu Jing. Qin Feiyang's eyes were cold. He pointed the sword at the other 4 elders, and a monstrous murderous aura rushed out of his body. He said, "Don't leave anyone alive, kill them all." Understood. Willow Tree nodded, grabbed Chang Shui, and rushed toward the white-haired old man with murderous intent. Yu Huang also immediately took out the snake scale and attacked a black-robed old man. The 6 great elders, on the other hand, attacked the other 2. Although the 6 elders did not have divine artifacts, they had an absolute advantage in terms of numbers. 6 against 2. Although the 2 of them had reached stage 10 false god, they did not have divine artifacts, and it was difficult for 2 fists to fight against 4 legs. The most important thing was, after losing their divine artifacts, they also lost confidence in facing Chang Shui. So, seeing Willow Tree and the others attack, they immediately turned around and fled. "Weren't you very arrogant at the beginning? Why are you running now?" Willow Tree sneered. The 4 of them were angry and said in unison, "If you have the ability, put down Chang Shui. If you are afraid, then you are afraid. Why do you have to find an excuse?" Willow Tree smiled disdainfully. Boom! However, at this time, a terrifying aura suddenly appeared in the sky above the valley. Everyone was shocked and hurriedly turned their heads to look. They saw a one-armed old man appear in the void above. He was about 1.8 meters tall, with a ruddy complexion and white hair. His dark eyes were like sharp arrows, revealing a terrifying sharpness. His divine power shook the void. The Grand Deacon of the Vanga League. Willow Tree's pupils constricted. But when he felt the power from Chang Shui, the fear in his heart disappeared in an instant. Instead, he had an impulse to give it a try. "Don't worry about him, continue to chase," Qin Feiyang shouted. However, before his voice died away, the white-haired old man who was being chased by Willow Tree suddenly disappeared in front of their eyes. Then, the old man in black and the other 2 disappeared one after another. Willow Tree raised his eyebrows and poured out his divine sense, covering all directions. Soon, he caught a space divine object. The space divine object was quickly escaping. Willow Tree quickly turned to Qin Feiyang and said, "It was Li Chang who saved them." Qin Feiyang said, "Trapped in the space divine object." "Okay. Willow Tree nodded and sent a sound transmission, Yu Huang, you guys go chase, I'll keep an eye on the Grand Deacon. Yu Huang and the 6 great elders nodded. Their divine sense rolled out and turned into a stream of light, chasing after the space divine object like lightning. What's going on? The one-armed old man stood in the air with a look of surprise. Why were Qin Feiyang and Willow Tree here? And Li Chang? Wasn't he the son of the palace master of the heavenly palace? Why was he here? Could it be that they had the same name? And Li Chang? He was only a 5-star war emperor, how could his speed compare to Yu Huang and the 6 great elders? In a few blinks of an eye, Yu Huang and the 6 great elders chased after him. Their divine sense was also firmly locked onto the space divine object. Then, the power of the fake god surged out and drowned the sky. A huge divine power enchantment was quickly formed, and then it kept shrinking. Li Chang panicked, for elders, what should we do now? The old man in white said in a deep voice, with your speed, you can't escape. Give me the space divine object. There's no need to escape. The old man in black suddenly said. Li Chang said, why not? Do you have a way to stop Chang Shui? No. But now, the great deacon of the Vanga League is rushing over. We can use the Vanga League to deal with Qin Feiyang. The old man in black laughed sinisterly. What should we do? The old man in white asked. The old man in black said, Li Chang, immediately inform the palace master and ask him to bring reinforcements immediately. It's best to bring that divine artifact. Okay. Li Chang nodded. The old man in black looked at the old man in white and said, we won't give up until we get back the divine artifact. Let's go out and delay them. The 3 of them nodded. Be careful. Li Chang reminded them and sent the 4 of them out. Qin Feiyang, I won't let you go. Li Chang gritted his teeth and muttered, immediately taking out the image crystal. Outside. Upon seeing the appearance of the 4 elders, Baiming Yu Huang coldly laughed, not fleeing anymore. Why are they here too? The one-armed old man was stunned. Humph. The black-haired old man glanced at Baiming Yu Huang and the 6 elders as he snorted. After that, he inclined his head and stared at the single-armed old man. Grand Deacon, Ning Yifeng and Zhao Shimeng have already died in Qin Feiyang's hands. What? The one-armed old man's expression changed. How dare you fan the flames? You're really reckless. Yu Huang was also enraged. She immediately brought Snake Scale with her and rushed over. The 6 elders followed closely behind. Attack! The old man in black roared. The 4 of them used their respective skills and started a bloody battle with Yu Huang and the 6 elders. Qin Feiyang, how dare you? The one-armed old man came back to his senses and immediately looked down at Qin Feiyang and shouted angrily. How dare you be rude to the young master? The Willow Tree also shouted angrily and stood in front of Qin Feiyang. Willow Tree, treat the old with respect. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly and walked forward, gently pushing the Willow Tree away. He looked up at the one-armed old man and said with a smile, don't be instigated by the people of Fengtian Palace. Ning Yifeng and Zhao Shimeng are not dead. Not dead. The one-armed old man was stunned and said in a low voice, then where are they now? It's in my spatial divine item. Qin Feiyang said. Let them out. The one-armed old man said. Qin Feiyang waved his hand and Ning Yifeng and Zhao Shimeng immediately appeared. As soon as the 2 came out, they immediately ran toward the one-armed old man. Qin Feiyang's face darkened slightly and said, did I say you can leave? The Willow Tree immediately released its power and forcibly dragged the 2 back and then imprisoned them. Seeing this, the one-armed old man quickly shouted at Qin Feiyang and the Willow Tree, what are you doing? Nothing. I just want you to confirm that they are really not dead. Qin Feiyang said with a smile. The one-armed old man's eyes were gloomy as he glared at Ningyi and Zhao Shimeng and shouted, "You are simply fooling around. What are you doing here? Do you have nothing better to do?" The two lowered their heads, their hearts full of regret. "If I didn't find out that the treasure map was stolen, I wouldn't have thought that you would sneak here." The one-armed old man became angrier and angrier as he spoke. "Where is father?" Ningyi asked. He just received a message, but it was suddenly interrupted. After confirming it again and again, he found that it was you who sent him the message. However, he didn't expect that you would be in danger, nor did he expect that someone would dare to attack the people of the Vanga League, so he just asked me to come and take a look. The one-armed old man said. Then hurry up and leave. Qin Feiyang's dagger is too terrifying. The Grand Elder of the Fengtian Palace has already died in their hands. Ningyi said anxiously. What? The one-armed old man's eyes trembled. He glanced at Qin Feiyang and the willow tree, as well as the Chang Shui in the willow tree's hand, then at Yu Huang and the 6 elders, and then at the ground below. Soon. Chapter 1594. As a sworn enemy for many years, he knew how strong the old woman was. Even he couldn't kill the old woman. But he didn't expect that she would die at the hands of Qin Feiyang and the others. Dagger, he muttered to himself and looked at the Chang Shui in Willow Tree's hand. His old eyes flashed. With just a dagger, this group of people could run rampant in the Black Tortoise world. What level of divine object was this? Wait. Suddenly. The one-armed old man seemed to have thought of something. He looked at Ningyi and said, "Don't they all have divine artifacts?" Ningyi shot a glance at Qin Feiyang and said with a pout, "Their divine artifacts are all in this guy's hands." What? The one-armed old man's expression changed. Zhao Shimeng said angrily, "And our battle suits, they were also taken by him." The one-armed old man was dumbstruck. He didn't know how to describe his mood at this moment. Boom! Suddenly. His aura was released, and a monstrous killing intent broke out of his body. It seems that this battle is unavoidable. Willow Tree smiled coldly and immediately recovered the Chang Shui. The one-armed old man glanced at Willow Tree, turned around, and rushed toward Yu Huang and the 6 elders. "Your opponent is me." Willow Tree shouted angrily and used an auxiliary divine art to chase after him. But the one-armed old man also had an auxiliary divine art. At the same time, sensing the one-armed old man's aura, Yu Huang's eyes flashed coldly. He shouted to the 6 elders, "You kill them, I will stop him." After that, Yu Huang immediately rushed toward the one-armed old man with the snake scale. However, the 4 elders of the Fengtian Palace were overjoyed when they saw the one-armed old man join the battle. With the help of the one-armed old man, even if they couldn't suppress Qin Feiyang and the others, they could at least delay until the palace master came to help. "What is the great deacon doing? Didn't we let him go? Qin Feiyang's aura is at its peak, and he has the Chang Shui, how can he beat him?" Ningyi was extremely anxious. Zhao Shimeng was also extremely flustered. If even the head deacon died here, then they would really be hopeless. In the blink of an eye, the one-armed old man and Yu Huang were about to collide. But suddenly, the one-armed old man took a step forward, brushing past Yu Huang. Immediately after, he dashed towards the 6 elders, his entire body brimming with killing intent. Damn it! The expressions of the 6 elders changed. Yu Huang and Willow Tree were also very anxious. Good chance, kill them all. The 4 people from the Fengtian Palace roared and charged towards the 6 elders without holding back. In front of him was the one-armed old man, and behind him were the 4 people from Fengtian Palace. Moreover, all 5 of them were rank 10 false gods. The 6 elders almost despaired. Seeing this, the 4 from Fengtian Palace laughed sinisterly, they roared in anger, "Die!" The single-armed elder also took out a long staff. It was 5 feet long and as thick as an infant's arm. It was completely scarlet red, as if it was cast from magma. It emitted a wave of world-destroying divine might. He grabbed the long staff, and with a deafening sound of wind and thunder, he smashed it towards the 6 elders. "How dare you!" Qin Feiyang suddenly roared and grabbed Ningyi and Zhao Shimeng's neck with both hands. His eyes flashed with bone-chilling killing intent. But the one-armed old man turned a deaf ear. He did not even turn around to look. His old eyes were filled with madness. "Go and be buried with them." Qin Feiyang smiled sinisterly and was about to kill Ningyi and Zhao Shimeng. However, at this time, the one-armed old man suddenly took a step forward and instantly flew over the heads of the 6 elders. The long staff in his hand swept towards the 4 elders of Feng Tian Palace. This, Qin Feiyang's face suddenly froze. "What's going on?" Willow Tree, Yu Huang, the 6 elders, Ningyi and Zhao Shimeng were also stunned. The 4 from Feng Tian Palace were also caught off guard. Bang bang bang. Ah, for cries of agony could be heard. The 4 from Feng Tian Palace were blown away by the long staff on the spot, blood spurting out from their mouths. "What are you doing? Come and help." The one-armed old man shouted, holding the long staff. He rushed towards the black-clothed old man. The 6 elders, Willow Tree, and Yu Huang quivered and immediately rushed towards the other 3. What the hell is going on? Inside the space divine object. Li Chang flew into a rage and roared again and again. Although all of this was instigated by Feng Tian Palace, the deacon did not know anything. Because from the time the deacon came here until now, no one had mentioned this matter. In other words, what the deacon knew now was only limited to Qin Feiyang hurting Ningyi and Zhao Shimeng. Logically speaking, shouldn't he first kill Qin Feiyang and rescue Ningyi and Zhao Shimeng? But why did he suddenly attack Feng Tian Palace? Ah, with the addition of the one-armed old man, the situation was completely one-sided. In less than 5 breaths, accompanied by a series of screams, the 4 from Feng Tian Palace had their sea of qi destroyed one after another. At this time, Li Chang regained his senses and wanted to save them, but it was too late. And at this moment, he did not have the courage to save the 4 of them, so he directly used the space divine object and began to flee. "Want to run? Did you ask for my permission?" Willow Tree smiled contemptuously. The force of the false god rolled out, and a barrier appeared again. The space divine object was immediately imprisoned. Li Chang was immediately scared out of his wits. He quickly activated the image crystal and sent a message to his father for help. Not far away in the void, Qin Feiyang looked at the one-armed old man, his eyes flashing. With a wave of his hand, he sent Ningyi and Zhao Shimeng to the ancient castle, then stepped on the void and landed beside Willow Tree. "Where are Feng and the others?" The one-armed old man turned to look at Qin Feiyang, his eyes flashing coldly, and asked. "They are safe." Qin Feiyang smiled. Willow Tree looked at the one-armed old man warily, whispering, "Young master, what about Li Chang?" Qin Feiyang said in his heart, "This person is worthless, but I want his space divine object." "Don't you already have the ancient castle?" Willow Tree was suspicious. "I do, but you don't have it." Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. "Me?" Willow Tree pointed at his nose with a dumbfounded expression. "Yes. Wait until I leave the Black Tortoise world, with the space divine object, your safety will be completely guaranteed." Qin Feiyang said in his heart. "Thank you." Willow Tree was touched. He thought that Qin Feiyang wanted Li Chang's space divine object for himself, but he didn't expect it to be for his sake. Qin Feiyang smiled and transmitted his voice to Willow Tree, Yu Huang, and the 6 elders. "Be alert, don't let the Feng Tian Palace's people rescue Li Chang." "What do you mean?" Yu Huang was bewildered. Li Chang won't sit still and wait for death, he will definitely report the situation back to the Fengtian Palace. Once the Fengtian Palace learns of the situation, as I expected, they won't fight us head-on. Because they aren't confident. Qin Feiyang said in his heart. Willow Tree said, so, they will quickly rescue Li Chang and leave. That's right. Qin Feiyang nodded. After he finished speaking, he glanced at the 4 elders who were lying on the ground on their last breaths and said, bring all of them here. Willow Tree took a step forward, carrying the 4 elders and returning to Qin Feiyang's side. What do you want? The one-armed old man frowned. Qin Feiyang formed a hand seal, and 4 enslavement seals appeared and sank into the 4 elders' heads. At the same time, a figure suddenly appeared in the void above. It was a middle-aged man. As soon as he appeared, he raised his arm and pointed in the air. The false god power poured out and blasted at the divine power barrier. Boom! The barrier was instantly shattered. Palace Master of the Fengtian Palace. The one-armed old man was shocked, and when he looked up, his expression changed slightly. But at the same time, Willow Tree, Yu Huang, and the 6 elders rushed into the sky like lightning. The one-armed old man was stunned. The middle-aged man was also stunned. Why weren't these people surprised at all? It was as if they had been prepared for this. Willow Tree laughed. The false god power appeared and trapped the divine power of space again. Together with Yu Huang, it stood between the middle-aged man and the divine power of space. The 6 elders immediately spread out and stood in 6 different directions, surrounding the divine power of space. And their divine will was firmly locked on to the divine power of space. Qin Feiyang chuckled and sent the 4 elders to the castle. Then, he stepped into the sky step by step and looked at the middle-aged man with a smile. I've been waiting for you for a long time, senior. You knew I would come. The middle-aged man raised his eyebrows. He was 7 feet tall and had a square face. His body was rather robust, and he wore a long white robe. There were strands of white hair at his temples. His hands were behind his back, and he was imperceptibly emitting a strong sense of oppression. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, not only did I know you would come, but I also knew you wouldn't fight with us. The middle-aged man was surprised and said, so you won't give me a chance to save Li Chang? Yes. Qin Feiyang nodded and smiled. Of course, I can let him go. Tell me your conditions. The middle-aged man said. As long as one wasn't an idiot, they would know that there must be conditions. Senior is really a straightforward person. I won't dawdle. I want Li Chang's divine power of space. Once I get it, I will let him go immediately. Qin Feiyang said. No problem. The middle-aged man nodded and said loudly without hesitation, Li Chang, come out and give him the divine power of space. Qin Feiyang was stunned and turned to look at Willow Tree and asked, is this person so straightforward? His son is in your hands. How can he not be straightforward? Besides, for him, it's worth it to exchange a divine power of space for his son's life. Willow Tree sneered. So, my price is still too low. Qin Feiyang was stunned. Then what else do you want? Willow Tree smiled bitterly. The divine artifacts of the 5 elders were all in their hands. In addition to the old woman, the other 4 elders were also captured. Was that not enough? However, Li Chang didn't come out. Qin Feiyang raised the corner of his mouth slightly, looked up at the middle-aged man and said with a smile, your son seems to be a little unconvinced. It seems that I have to raise the price. The middle-aged man's eyes suddenly had a trace of anger. He shouted, if you don't come out, I will let you fend for yourself here. Hearing this, Li Chang immediately ran out, his face full of unwillingness. Hurry up and give it to him. The middle-aged man said angrily. Li Chang's eyes trembled. With a thought, A black light swept out from between his eyebrows and flew to Qin Feiyang's side. This was a black stone castle, about the size of a baby's fist, glowing with a hazy divine light. Take it. Qin Feiyang looked at the stone castle and smiled at Willow Tree. Thank you, young master. Chapter 1595. Give it to him. Both the patriarch of the Fengtian Palace and the one-armed old man were astounded. Putting everything else aside, Willow Tree really followed the right person. First, he got the 7-star sword, and now he got the space divine item. His strength soared several times. Let him go. The palace master came back to his senses and looked at Qin Feiyang. Willow Tree put away the space divine item, turned around, and grabbed Li Chang's neck. Li Chang's expression changed. The palace master stared at Qin Feiyang and asked, "What do you mean?" Qin Feiyang smiled, "Willow Tree, we have to be men of our word. Let him go." Willow Tree was stunned and asked, "Are you sure?" He thought that Qin Feiyang said to let Li Chang go just to buy time. He didn't expect that he would really let him go. Qin Feiyang nodded. Willow Tree shook his head helplessly and removed the divine power barrier. He then threw Li Chang at the feet of the palace master. Li Chang got up in a sorry state and looked at Qin Feiyang's group with hatred. He said, "Just you wait." Slap. The palace master of the Celestial Worship Palace immediately slapped him. Father, Li Chang was stunned. He touched his burning face and looked at the palace master in disbelief. Don't you think you've embarrassed yourself enough? Go back immediately. Without my order, you're not allowed to take half a step out of the palace master. Fengtian Palace master shouted. Li Chang's body trembled as he opened a teleportation gate. After taking a glance at Qin Feiyang, he turned around and ran in with a belly full of anger. If we had disciplined him earlier, he wouldn't have caused such a disaster. Willow Tree sneered. The palace master glanced at Willow Tree, then looked at Qin Feiyang and said, "For great elders, state your conditions." Ah! Qin Feiyang was stunned. I know that you want to capture them and use them for yourself. However, I can tell you responsibly that it's useless. The palace master of the Imperial Conferring Palace said. Useless? Qin Feiyang was stunned and asked curiously, "Then why don't you tell me why it's useless?" Because of their loyalty. They will never betray Fengtian Palace. If you keep them by your side, not only will they not be able to help you, they might even take your life at any time. The palace master of the Imperial Conferring Palace said expressionlessly. Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed. Willow Tree, is what he said true? I'm not sure. Willow Tree shook his head, pondered for a while, and said, "However, we can exchange." Exchange? Qin Feiyang was suspicious. Yes. The 10 great elders of the Fengtian Palace have mastered a divine art called the 9 Palaces Sword Formation. If this 9 Palaces Sword Formation is used to the extreme, it's enough to destroy the world. Willow Tree said. Is that so? Qin Feiyang was surprised. Yes. The 9 Palaces Sword Formation is very famous. Even the Vanga League is very wary of it. Willow Tree said. They used the 9 Palaces Sword Formation before, but I didn't see how powerful it was. Qin Feiyang said. That's because it's not complete. The real 9 Palaces Sword Formation requires 9 divine swords and a sword heart to exert its full power. 9 divine swords, excluding the 5 in our hands, the other 4 are in the hands of the 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th elders of the Fengtian Palace. As for the sword heart, it's in the hands of the 10th elder of the Fengtian Palace. And the sword heart is the most important. Without the sword heart, you can still form the 9 Palaces Sword Formation, but its power will be reduced by at least 1/3. Willow Tree said. So powerful? Qin Feiyang was surprised. Willow Tree said, "If we can exchange the 4 elders for the sword heart and the other 4 divine swords, it's a good deal." Qin Feiyang asked, "Is the 10th elder of the Fengtian Palace stronger than the first elder?" "Why do you ask?" Willow Tree was puzzled. "You said that the sword heart is the most important, so it should be controlled by the strongest person." Qin Feiyang said. "Oh, I see. In fact, whether it's the 10 elders of the Fengtian Palace or the 10 deacons of the Vanga League, their strength is about the same. Because they are all level 10 false god. The only difference is their age and prestige. The older they are, the more prestige they have. The 10th elder of the Fengtian Palace used to be the servant of the palace lord, so he can't be compared to the other 9 elders. That's why he is ranked 10th. As for the sword heart, the palace lord trusts him the most, so he is in charge of it." Willow Tree said. "I see." Qin Feiyang nodded and raised his head to look at the palace master of the Celestial Submission Palace. He smiled and said, "Sure, I'll return them to you, but you'll need to use the sword heart and the remaining 4 divine swords in exchange." The palace lord clenched his fists. Qin Feiyang smiled, "I know you don't want to, but I believe you also understand that divine weapons can be found again, but people can't be found again." The palace master of Fengtian Palace was silent. "Young master is right. To create 4 new level 10 false gods, I'm afraid it won't be easy even for the Fengtian Palace." Lu Mu looked at the palace lord of Fengtian Palace and smiled. The palace lord gritted his teeth and looked at Qin Feiyang, "As you wish, deal." Qin Feiyang smiled, "I like dealing with people like you who are straightforward and decisive." "Wait a moment." With that, Feng Tiangong opened the teleportation gate and strode in. "Awesome. Once he retrieves the sword heart and the remaining 4 divine artifacts, we will have obtained 12 divine artifacts this time." Yu Huang grinned. Lu Mu smiled and said, "Not 12, but 13. There's also a spatial divine item." "Yes, yes, yes." Yu Huang nodded and looked at Qin Feiyang, "Boy, you promised me a divine weapon, it's time to fulfill it. I've already prepared it for you." Qin Feiyang smiled. "Is that so?" Yu Huang was surprised, "What kind of divine weapon are you going to give me?" "Fire." Qin Feiyang was about to say the fire lotus, but he stopped and asked, "What kind of divine weapon do you want?" "Me." Yu Huang pondered for a moment, "If only there was an armor like the one you're wearing." "Armor," Qin Feiyang muttered, his eyes flashing slightly. He lowered his head to look at the one-armed old man below. The one-armed old man suddenly became alert, his heart filled with an uneasy premonition. Shwa! Just as Qin Feiyang was about to speak, the palace lord of the palace lord appeared out of thin air. So fast. Qin Feiyang was surprised. Needless to say, this person was really a swift and decisive person. He couldn't help but admire this person. The palace lord of the palace lord waved his hand, and 5 streams of light broke through the air, rushing in front of Qin Feiyang. Impressively, there were 4 battle swords. And these 4 battle swords were exactly the same as the 5 battle swords that had been seized before. Beside the 4 battle swords, there was also a crystal. This crystal was about the size of a cobblestone. Like the battle sword, its entire body was scarlet red, and its edges were distinct. At first glance, it looked like a fiery red diamond, extremely beautiful. However, the space around the crystal was distorted at this moment. This was because the crystal was spewing out an invisible sword light. The feeling that this sword ray gave people was even more terrifying than the 9 battle swords. Willow Tree went up to check for a while and gradually became happy. He turned to Qin Feiyang and nodded, "It's true." Qin Feiyang waved his hand and collected all of them. Then, he brought the black-clothed old man and the other 3 out of the ancient castle. "Palace Master," the 4 of them looked at the Fengtian Palace Lord and lowered their heads in shame. "Victory and defeat are commonplace in war. Don't worry too much about it. He looked at Qin Feiyang and said, please release them from your control. Don't worry. I've always been a man of my word. If I say I'll let them go, I'll definitely let them go. Qin Feiyang laughed and released the 4 of them from his control. With a wave of his hand, the 4 of them flew towards Palace Master Feng Tian. The Palace Master of the Celestial Submission Palace opened the teleportation gate and did not linger. He did not say any harsh words and left with the 4 of them. I like this person very much. Qin Feiyang looked at the back of the Palace Master of the Celestial Submission Palace and laughed. Yu Huang's mouth twitched and said with disdain, you like the treasures on him, right? Don't talk nonsense. Do I look like that kind of person? Qin Feiyang's face darkened. Yu Huang looked at him seriously and nodded, yes. Qin Feiyang shook his head helplessly and said, I really admire him. He doesn't hesitate at all. No wonder he's an overlord. Is the leader of the Vanguard League also like him? Qin Feiyang murmured. He lowered his head again and looked at the one-armed old man. He smiled and said, Senior, let's settle the problem between us now. The one-armed old man raised his eyebrows and flew up to the sky. He stood opposite Qin Feiyang and said, their battle suits were taken by you. How do you want to settle it? I won't deny it. I didn't do anything wrong. You don't know the situation at that time, so you may think that I deliberately hurt them. But in fact, I didn't. Qin Feiyang said. Then what is it? The one-armed old man frowned. Qin Feiyang took Ning Yifeng and Zhao Shimeng and said with a smile, you'd better ask them. Tell me, what's going on? The one-armed old man looked at the 2 and said angrily. The 2 stammered. Qin Feiyang glanced at the 2 and said to the one-armed old man, forget it, let me tell you. At that moment. Thus, Qin Feiyang gave a simple explanation of what had happened. After listening, the one-armed old man's face turned pale. That treasure trove was actually a trap. Celestial Submission Palace, I won't let this go. The one-armed old man clenched his hands and a murderous intent flashed in his eyes. He then looked at Ning Yifeng and Zhao Shimeng and said angrily, what have we taught you? A person must know how to repay kindness, can't you remember? Knowing that he won't let us go easily, are we still going to stand there and wait for death? You don't know what kind of person he is. What repay kindness with enmity, it's just an excuse for him to attack us. Zhao Shimeng snorted coldly. Still quibbling. The one-armed old man blew his beard and glared. I'm telling the truth, I'm not quibbling. Zhao Shimeng said stubbornly. Shut up. The one-armed old man was burning with anger and glared fiercely at Zhao Shimeng. He looked at Qin Feiyang and said, this matter, they are indeed in the wrong first. This old man apologizes to you on their behalf. If apologizing is useful, what's the use of law enforcement? Yu Huang sneered. Don't go too far. The great deacon is highly respected in the Black Tortoise world. For him to lower his status and apologize to you is already very flattering. Chapter 1596. Flatter us? Yu Huang started, she couldn't help but feel anger rising in her heart. How dare you be so arrogant in this situation? I've spoiled you. It raised its tail and slapped Zhao Shimeng's face. With a bang, a blood-red mark immediately appeared on the ground. How dare you hit my face? Zhao Shimeng touched her cheek and stared at Yu Huang angrily. So what if I hit you? Do you think we have to be polite to you in the Vanguard League? Let me tell you, in front of us, you'd better rein in your temper. Otherwise, not to mention slapping your face, this emperor will even dare to chop you up. Yu Huang snorted. Zhao Shimeng's body trembled. Her face was full of fear. Yu Huang smiled in disdain. He looked at the one-armed old man and said impatiently, let's cut the crap. If you want their lives, give me something in return. The one-armed old man looked at Zhao Shimeng and the other man and asked, "What do you want?" Yu Huang looked at Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang pondered for a while and smiled, "How about this? Just like Fengtian Palace, give me 2 divine artifacts in exchange." As expected. The one-armed old man had actually expected such an outcome. However, asking for 2 divine artifacts at once was still beyond what he could afford. After all, divine artifacts were not cabbages that could be found everywhere. Even in the Vanga League, he did not have many. The one-armed old man took a deep breath and smiled, "Young friend, do you know why I suddenly attacked Fengtian Palace? Are you trying to be friendly?" Qin Feiyang asked. "Yes. To be honest, I don't care about your strength," the one-armed old man said. "I believe you." Qin Feiyang nodded. "Although you are not a threat to the Vanga League, I have to be wary of the daggers in your hands. That's why I changed my mind and attacked Fengtian Palace. I think you should understand what I mean. Instead of fighting to the death and letting Fengtian Palace take advantage of the situation, why don't we work together?" The one-armed old man said. "Cooperation?" Qin Feiyang stared blankly for a moment before he joked, "What about the main tower? Aren't you going to avenge them?" "Revenge?" "At first, we did think of taking revenge for the main tower. In fact, before coming here, this old man was discussing this matter with the 2 alliance masters. But now, this old man believes that there is no need for that." The one-armed old man said. "You're quite sensible." Willow Tree sneered. "A wise man submits to circumstances." The one-armed old man smiled. He looked at Qin Feiyang and said, "Little brother, this old man sincerely hopes that I can make a friend like you. After saying so much, isn't it because you want us to return them to you? It's not that easy. We're not that easy to fool. You have to give me a divine artifact in exchange." Yu Huang said. The one-armed old man was a little annoyed. He looked at Qin Feiyang and said, "Little brother, you've already offended the major forces in the Black Tortoise world. If you fall out with the Vanga League, I don't think it'll do you any good." "Huh, Willow Tree, did you see that? You're angry and started to threaten us." Yu Huang laughed. Willow Tree glanced at the one-armed old man and said calmly, "It's useless. The young master is not afraid of the Vanga League at all." Seeing Yu Huang and Willow Tree echoing each other, the one-armed old man was quite annoyed. "I'm not a 3-year-old kid. I won't change my mind just because of a few words from you. If you really want to work with me, wait until you give me the divine artifact and we'll talk." Qin Feiyang looked at the one-armed old man and said. The one-armed old man was furious and said, "Then what divine artifact do you want?" "I want a suit of armor that can shrink at will." After Qin Feiyang said that, he looked at the staff in the one-armed old man's hand and said with a smile, "That dog-beating staff in your hand looks pretty good too." The one-armed old man gripped the staff in his hand tightly, his expression extremely ugly. "Can't bear to part with it?" "It's good that you can't bear to part with it. Because this means that this dog-beating staff of yours is definitely not simple. Alright, it's a happy decision then. Give me a suit of armor and the dog-beating staff in your hand." Qin Feiyang smiled. "Who's happy with your decision?" The one-armed old man was furious and said in a deep voice, "Young man, are you really not afraid of making the world your enemy? If I was afraid, I would have left the Black Tortoise world long ago. Why would I stay here until now?" Qin Feiyang said calmly. "Alright. This old man will satisfy you." The one-armed old man spat out these words through gritted teeth. With a wave of his hand, he erased the blood contract on the staff and threw it to Qin Feiyang. Willow Tree took a step forward and caught the staff, asking, "Where's the armor?" The one-armed old man said, "This old man will go back and get it, let one person go first." "Trying to play tricks?" Willow Tree sneered coldly. "Even if you let one person go first, there's still one person in your hands, what tricks can this old man play? The one-armed old man said angrily. Hearing this, Willow Tree returned to Qin Feiyang's side and asked in a low voice, "What should we do?" Qin Feiyang sized up the one-armed old man, a light flickered in his eyes as he said, "Give Zhao Shimeng to him." "All right." Willow Tree nodded. He grabbed Zhao Shimeng and threw her over. The one-armed old man quickly waved his hand and false god force appeared, supporting Zhao Shimeng. After Zhao Shimeng stabilized her body, she quickly ran to the one-armed old man and said, "Great Deacon, you have to," but before she could finish, the one-armed old man waved his hand and stopped her, "If you have anything to say, say it when we get back." After that, he opened the portal. Zhao Shimeng turned her head and glanced coldly at Qin Feiyang, then turned and ran into the portal. "I hope you won't do anything to him while I'm away." The one-armed old man looked at Qin Feiyang and said, then turned and entered the portal. "Young master, you have to be careful. The people of the Vanga League might not be as honest as those from Fengtian Palace." Willow Tree said in a low voice. "Don't talk nonsense. The people of the Vanga League are many times better than those from Fengtian Palace." Ning Yifeng snorted, his face full of dissatisfaction. "Don't think too highly of yourself. You think we don't know what kind of people the Vanga League is? Take the Chief Tower as an example. Although the Vanga League has been taking care of them all these years, you have also asked them to pay you tribute." Willow Tree sneered. "Tribute?" Qin Feiyang was stunned. Willow Tree nodded and said in disdain, "I heard that when the Chief Tower was seeking protection, the Vanga League gave them a condition. The Chief Tower must refine pills for the Vanga League for the rest of their lives, and they won't provide the herbs. The Chief Tower has to find the herbs themselves." "Ah." Qin Feiyang was shocked and said, "Doesn't that mean they're taking it for free?" "They're taking it for free. In short, ever since the Chief Tower entered the Black Tortoise world, the Vanga League has been exploiting them. Since ancient times, the Vanga League has been using their strength to do whatever they want in the Black Tortoise world." Willow Tree sneered. "Isn't it the same for Fengtian Palace?" Ning Yifeng said angrily. Willow Tree said, "Although Fengtian Palace's style of doing things is very overbearing, at least they don't exploit any forces." Ning Yifeng was speechless. Not long after, a middle-aged man dressed in black descended in the sky above the group of people. "Who is it?" Willow Tree shouted and looked up at the middle-aged man. He frowned and asked, "Where's your chief deacon? What's wrong?" Qin Feiyang was suspicious. Willow Tree whispered, "This person is also from the Vanga League. His name is Gao Yuan, and he's also a pseudo-god." "He's also a deacon?" Qin Feiyang asked. "No. But he's also a senior figure in the Vanga League." Willow Tree said. Gao Yuan took a step forward and landed in front of them. He said, "The chief deacon suddenly has something to deal with, so he asked me to come and make a deal with you." "What a coincidence." Willow Tree was surprised. Qin Feiyang waved his hand and said with a smile, "It doesn't matter. It's the same whoever comes, as long as they bring armor." Gao Yuan waved his hand, and a black armor flew out from his body and flew in front of Qin Feiyang. He said, "This armor can change its form at will. It can be used by humans or beasts." Qin Feiyang smiled and said, "Yu Huang, try it." Yu Huang quickly dripped his blood to recognize it as its master. He was very excited. After successfully recognizing it as its master, the armor immediately appeared on its body. Except for a pair of eyes, its whole body was covered. "Not bad, not bad." Yu Huang smiled. Gao Yuan said, "We've already given you the conditions you asked for. Now, you should let him go." Qin Feiyang let go of Ning Yifeng and said with a smile, "Don't run around in the future. It's very dangerous outside. It's not suitable for a young master like you." "Who said I'm a young master? I'm also ambitious, okay?" Ning Yifeng glared at Qin Feiyang angrily and flew toward Gao Yuan. Gao Yuan smiled and said, "Young master, you go back first. I still have something to discuss with Qin Feiyang and the others." "Discuss the matter of cooperation?" Ning Yifeng frowned. "Yes." Gao Yuan nodded. "For divine artifacts were robbed, and you still want to cooperate with him? This is so fucking frustrating." Ning Yifeng was very angry. He looked back at Qin Feiyang and opened the portal with a stomach full of dissatisfaction. He turned around and left. After the portal dissipated, Gao Yuan looked at Qin Feiyang and the others with a smile on his face. Qin Feiyang said, "Tell me, how do you want to cooperate?" The great deacon said that since ancient times, no one has ever dared to blackmail our Vanga League. You're the first, but also the last. Because you will die here soon. Gao Yuan chuckled, and his body suddenly exploded in the void. A wave of qi that could destroy the world suddenly rushed out in all directions with an earth-shattering momentum. This unforeseen event completely caught Qin Feiyang and the others off guard. They never thought that Gao Yuan would explode his physical body. One had to know. Gao Yuan was a pseudo-god. For a pseudo-god, what was more important than his life? How could he be willing to explode himself? That destructive aura rolled over. The willow tree and Yu Huang, who were standing in front of Qin Feiyang, were the first to bear the brunt of it. Blood gushed out of their mouths. Their physical bodies were also cracking. Even if Yu Huang had armor now, it could not block the power of the explosion. The armor was fine, but the flesh beneath the armor was bleeding profusely. However, in order to protect Qin Feiyang behind him, the man and the beast did not retreat half a step. The power of the pseudo-god roared out and desperately blocked the overwhelming air wave. "Young master, quick!" Chapter 1597. In the blink of an eye, Yu Huang and Willow Tree were covered in wounds and their bodies were almost torn apart. It could be seen how terrifying the power of a fake god's self-destruction was. Qin Feiyang hurriedly waved his hand and led everyone into the ancient castle. Boom! Crack! Outside. The mountains and earth within a radius of 10,000 miles were collapsing. The void shattered. Even the sky began to crack. It was as if doomsday had arrived, shocking the world. Inside the ancient castle, Qin Feiyang looked at this scene and his face was extremely gloomy. How dare they plot against him? He couldn't forgive them. At the side, Willow Tree and Yu Huang were lying on the ground with blood all over their bodies. As soon as they entered the ancient castle, they passed out and their life fluctuations were also dissipating. The 6 great elders surrounded them and observed their injuries. They also gave them all kinds of life-saving pills. Lu Hong and the others also got up and looked at Yu Huang and Willow Tree worriedly. "How are their injuries?" Qin Feiyang said in a deep voice as he withdrew his gaze and looked at the 6 elders. "It's not good. Their physical injuries are only secondary. The most important thing is their souls. In order to protect you, they took the impact in front and their souls were almost torn apart. We have already given them the essence soul pills, but whether they can survive depends on themselves." The 6 elders said. "So serious?" Lu Hong and the others' hearts sank. Qin Feiyang's eyes became more and more terrifying. He asked, "How many essence soul pills did you give them?" 4. One of them said. "Not enough. Dan Wangkai, prepare the herbs. I'm going to start the furnace." Qin Feiyang said. "Yes." Dan Wangkai nodded and hurriedly ran to the front of the pill furnace to get busy. "You know how to refine pills too?" The 6 elders looked at Qin Feiyang in shock. Qin Feiyang didn't answer and immediately turned the ancient castle around and flew away. "Where are we going?" Lu Hong asked. "I don't know. Let's find a place to hide first. Qin Feiyang said. Hide. Everyone was suspicious. Gao Yuan's self-destruction must have been ordered by the Vanga League. So, later, they will definitely come to confirm whether I'm dead or not. Perhaps they are hiding somewhere nearby right now. A cold light flashed in Qin Feiyang's eyes. You want to fake your death? Fatso asked in surprise. That's right. Let them be happy for a while. When Willow Tree and Yu Huang wake up, I will make them pay a heavy price. I want them to disappear from the Black Tortoise world just like the main tower. Qin Feiyang said with a cold smile. When the 6 elders heard this, their scalps went numb. Destroy the Vanga League? In the entire Black Tortoise world, he was probably the only one who dared to think about it. Just as they had expected. When the destructive power of Gao Yuan's self-detonation gradually subsided, 2 old figures flashed over from the distance like 2 bolts of lightning. One of them was the Grand Deacon. The other was an old woman. Her body was hunched over and her hair was white. She held a walking stick in her hand, but her eyes weren't cloudy at all. They were like a pair of eagle's eyes. Is he dead? The old woman glanced at the ground and frowned. The power of a false divinity's self-destruction is comparable to a war god's all-out attack. Even a false divinity would die without a doubt, let alone a mere Qin Feiyang. The Grand Deacon snickered. The old woman released her divine will and covered the area. A few moments later. She raised her eyebrows and asked in surprise, where are the ancient castle and Changshui? Why can't I find them? Are they also destroyed? Destroyed? The Grand Deacon was stunned and released his divine will as well. As expected, he couldn't find the ancient castle and Changshui. Let's not talk about the ancient castle first. Changshui is so powerful that it can even break the Azure Rainbow Sword. It shouldn't have been destroyed. And your sky-breaking stick is a level higher than the Azure Rainbow Sword. It shouldn't have been destroyed either. The old woman frowned and said. However, she didn't know that the ancient castle and Changshui were just as powerful. However, they weren't there when the ancient castle showed the power of laws. The people in the main tower were all killed by Zhuge Mingyang, so they didn't know anything. Could it be that someone beat us to it? The Grand Deacon raised his eyebrows. He didn't have any doubts and believed that Qin Feiyang and the others had died under Gao Yuan's self-destruction. Because he believed that Qin Feiyang and the others wouldn't be able to react when Gao Yuan self-destructed. Even if they did, they wouldn't be able to escape in time. Of course, the Grand Deacon couldn't be blamed for being self-righteous. Because this time, if it weren't for the Willow Tree and Yu Huang, Qin Feiyang would definitely die. There was no suspense. Gao Yuan self-destructed too suddenly and without any hesitation. No one could react in time. But the Willow Tree and Yu Huang sacrificed themselves to save him, allowing him to escape. Who? Suddenly, the old woman roared. She raised her head and looked at the void hundreds of miles away. She saw a black-robed man running towards a teleportation gate without looking back. Li Yuan, stop right there. Although she could only see the back of the black-robed man, the old woman immediately recognized his identity. With a roar, she chased after him like lightning. We self-destructed a false god to kill Qin Feiyang, but your Fengtian palace took advantage of us. Damn it! Leave the divine artifact to us. The Grand Deacon was also furious. They thought that the divine artifacts on Qin Feiyang were all with the black-robed man. However, before the two of them could kill him, the black-robed man was teleported away by the portal. Damn it! Damn it! Looking at the portal dissipating, the two of them stomped their feet in anger. Above a towering mountain, an ancient castle quietly floated in the void. Inside, Qin Feiyang stood in front of the furnace, waving his hands again and again, calmly refining the essence soul pill. The 6 elders were all alchemy masters of the main tower. But when they saw Qin Feiyang's alchemy technique, they were shocked. This kind of skillful technique, this kind of calm demeanor, was not something that ordinary people could do. Especially when refining the very complicated Essence Soul Pill. The Essence Soul Pill was a pill to repair the soul, and it was one of the most difficult pills to refine. Whether it was the control of the fire or the mental strength, the requirements were very high. And this man could do it with ease? This level of attainment was terrifying. Soon, 2 Essence Soul Pills came out of the furnace. There were no flaws. 7 elixir patterns, like the halo of an angel, extremely eye-catching. How is this possible? It's actually 7 elixir patterns. The 6 elders were dumbfounded, staring at the 2 Essence Soul Pills. Ling Zhuzi almost popped out. What's there to fuss about? Young Master's talent in alchemy is unparalleled in the entire Great Qin Empire and Forgotten Continent. It's just that usually, he disdains to refine ordinary pills. Wang Yu didn't tell you? Dan Wangkai asked. When Wang Yu was brought to the main tower, we hadn't even seen her yet, and you guys had already killed your way in. It's hard for us to know. The 6 of them smiled bitterly. They were really shocked in their hearts. Not only was his cultivation talent so monstrous, even his alchemy talent was so terrifying. Was he still human? While talking, Qin Feiyang had already put 2 Essence Soul Pills into the willow tree and Youhuang's mouths. Qin Feiyang continued to refine pills. For example, healing pills, bone replenishing pills, regeneration pills, and so on. In short, for all the medicinal pills that were useful to Lu Mu and Yu Huang, he concocted 2 of them. Finally, under Qin Feiyang's efforts, the willow tree and Yu Huang's injuries finally stabilized and gradually improved. A pill with 7 elixir patterns is indeed extraordinary. Yeah, it's several times more effective than a pill with 4 elixir patterns. The 6 elders sighed. If not for the pills refined by Qin Feiyang, it was really unknown whether the willow tree and Yu Huang would be able to survive. Of course. It was also thanks to them being false gods. When one reached the level of false god, whether it was the physical body, soul or self-healing ability, they would all undergo a qualitative transformation. If it was a war emperor or a war saint, unless they had a divine pill or a flame of life, they would still die. If it was a cultivator below the war saint level, they would die on the spot. Phew! Qin Feiyang also let out a long sigh. But then, a strong murderous intent flashed in his eyes. Fengtian Palace. This colossus was located in the middle of a mountain range. The mountain range was undulating and there were fierce beasts everywhere. There was a giant mountain that towered into the sky like a giant sword. At the top of the mountain, a middle-aged man stood with his hands behind his back, facing the wind. He looked at the horizon and his deep eyes flashed with an inexplicable light. It was the palace master of Fengtian Palace. The place he was looking at was an endless sea. On the sea, the wind whistled and the waves surged. The strange thing was that the sea was black. Swish! Suddenly, a large man dressed in black appeared out of thin air behind the palace lord of the Celestial Tribute Palace. The palace master of Fengtian Palace seemed to have known that the man would come. He asked without turning his head, "Li Yuan, what's the situation?" Just as you expected, the Vangu League plotted against Qin Feiyang. They made Gao Yuan self-destruct. If you didn't give me the ancient city, I'm afraid I would have died under Gao Yuan's self-destruction. Li Yuan said with lingering fear. As he spoke, an ancient city the size of a palm flew out from between his eyebrows. Shockingly, this was also a spatial divine item. It wasn't hard to tell from Li Yuan's words that the owner of the ancient city was the palace master of Fengtian Palace. As the palace master of Fengtian Palace's space divine item, its level was definitely not low. What? The palace master of Fengtian Palace turned around and looked at Li Yuan in shock. He knew the Vanga League style of doing things. He expected that they would definitely attack Qin Feiyang, so he asked Li Yuan to secretly monitor them. But he didn't expect that they would make a pseudo-god self-destruct. The Vanga League was really willing to go all out. After coming back to his senses, the palace master of Fengtian Palace put away the ancient city and asked, "What happened?" "He didn't die." Li Yuan shook his head. "He didn't die from the self-destruction of a pseudo-god." The palace master of Fengtian Palace was stunned. Li Yuan said, "It was Willow Tree and Yu Huang who risked their lives to save him." Impressive. How long has Willow Tree been with him? He was willing to risk his life for him. This kid is really something. Where is he now? The palace master of Fengtian Palace asked. "I'm not sure. When Gao Yuan self-destructed, the scene was too scary. I didn't dare to leave the ancient city, so I used my divine will to search for them. But I believe that after this incident, Qin Feiyang and the Vanga League will completely fall out." Li Yuan sneered. Chapter 1598. Li Yuan said, "Also, I overheard that the Grand Deacon wanted to work with Qin Feiyang to get rid of Palace Fengtian. Why did they fall out when they were talking about working together?" The palace master of Palace Fengtian was suspicious. "It's all because of Qin Feiyang. The Grand Deacon wanted Qin Feiyang to return Ningifang and Zhao Shiming to him. But Qin Feiyang asked the Vanga League to give him an armor and the Grand Deacon to give him the sky-breaking rod." Li Yuan smiled bitterly. "Ah." The palace master of Palace Fengtian was stunned and asked, "Did the Grand Deacon give it to him?" "Yes. I guess it was at that time that the Grand Deacon wanted to kill him." Li Yuan said. "He was willing to do that?" The palace master of Palace Fengtian was stunned. "It can't be helped. Qin Feiyang asked for the sky-breaking rod. How dare he not give it to him? If he didn't give it to him, given Qin Feiyang's character, he would definitely kill Ningifang and Zhao Shiming." Li Yuan smiled. The palace master of Palace Fengtian pondered for a while and said, "Now, does the Vanga League know that Qin Feiyang is still alive?" "No. If I didn't see it with my own eyes, I wouldn't believe that Qin Feiyang could still be alive." Li Yuan said. "No." The palace master of Palace Fengtian lowered his head and pondered. Li Yuan looked at the palace master of Palace Fengtian and asked tentatively, "Sir, are you also thinking of working with Qin Feiyang?" The palace master of Palace Fengtian was stunned. He looked at Li Yuan and said, "Do you think we can work with him?" "I think we can." Li Yuan nodded. "Why?" The palace master of Palace Fengtian asked. "The enemy of my enemy is my friend. Although Qin Feiyang killed our first elder and stole the 9 palaces sword formation and master spatial divine item, it's nothing compared to destroying the Vanga League. As for Qin Feiyang's ability, you've seen it for yourself. Just the dagger in his hand is enough to make anyone tremble in fear. If Fengtian Palace joins the fray, it'll be a piece of cake to destroy the Vanga League." Li Yuan smiled. "I'm thinking the same thing." Fengtian Palace master nodded. Li Yuan asked suspiciously, "Then why are you still hesitating?" "As the palace lord of Fengtian Palace, I have to consider everything carefully. The destruction of the Vanga League is indeed a good thing for us. However, I'm worried that after we destroy the Vanga League, will Qin Feiyang attack Fengtian Palace again? If he really attacks us, we'll be beaten up because no one can do anything to that dagger." Fengtian Palace master said worriedly. Li Yuan nodded in understanding and said with a smile, "Actually, you don't have to worry about that at all." "What do you mean?" Fengtian Palace master asked in a daze. "Everyone knows that Qin Feiyang's target is the Tianyang Empire. After we destroy the Tianyang Empire, he'll leave. After all, no one wants to be trapped in the Black Tortoise world forever. After we destroy the Vanga League, we'll take the initiative to help him destroy the Tianyang Empire. If he still wants something else by then, we'll just give him some divine weapons or divine arts as long as he can leave the Black Tortoise world quickly. After he leaves, I'd like to ask Master, is there anyone here who can stop us from conquering the Black Tortoise world? Li Yuan smiled. Huh, Feng Tian Palace Master laughed and nodded, that's right, we'll do as you say. Alright. I'll go look for him now. I think he should be near the Qingyang mountain range. But there's something I need to remind you of, Master. Li Yuan said. What is it? Feng Tian Palace Master asked. It's about the young master. Qin Feiyang ruined his plan and stole his divine spatial item. He'll definitely hold a grudge. What I'm worried about is that the young master might do something to anger Qin Feiyang. If that happens, it won't be easy to clean up the mess. Li Yuan said. I understand what you mean. We can only be friends with Qin Feiyang, not enemies. Feng Tian Palace Master said. Yes. We must restrain the young master so that he won't ruin our plan. Li Yuan said in a deep voice. Feng Tian Palace Master said, don't worry. Before Qin Feiyang leaves the Black Tortoise world, I'll have someone keep an eye on him. That's good. There's one more thing. When I left the Qingyang mountain range, I was discovered by the senior deacon and the second deacon. They all thought that I was the one who took Qin Feiyang's divine artifact and might come to Feng Tian Palace to reason with you. You have to be prepared in advance. Li Yuan said. How can they still have the face to reason with me? It's fine if they don't come. If they really dare to come, let's see how I humiliate them. Feng Tian Palace Master sneered. Li Yuan, get the hell out here. Before he finished speaking, an angry roar sounded in the sky. That old bastard, he really came. Feng Tian Palace Master was taken aback. He looked at Li Yuan and said, go find Qin Feiyang. Okay. Li Yuan nodded and opened the portal. Suddenly, he seemed to have thought of something. He looked at Feng Tian Palace Master and said, we can't let the Vanga League know that Qin Feiyang is still alive. I understand. Go. Feng Tian Palace Master said. Li Yuan glanced at the sky and entered the portal without looking back. At the same time, in the sky, a one-armed old man appeared. It was the Grand Deacon of the Vanga League. He stood in the sky and looked down. He immediately noticed Li Yuan and was furious. He rushed toward the portal and shouted, don't run. Let's talk face to face. What do you want? This is not the Vanga League. You can't behave atrociously here. Feng Tian Palace Master stepped forward and shouted in front of the one-armed old man. If you don't hand over Qin Feiyang's divine artifact, I'll really behave atrociously today. The one-armed old man shouted. His eyes were slightly red. Obviously, he was extremely angry. What do you mean? Qin Feiyang's divine artifact. Are you crazy? Why did you come to Feng Tian Palace to ask for Qin Feiyang's divine artifact? A few angry roars sounded. The 8 elders of Feng Tian Palace flew into the sky and glared at the Grand Deacon. The second elder, third elder, fourth elder, and fifth elder's injuries and Sea of Qi had all recovered. However, they did not know what happened after that. Therefore, they thought it was ridiculous when they heard the one-armed old man's voice. Looking at their expressions, the one-armed old man was even more furious. He shouted, don't play dumb with me. Hand it over. What a joke. Even if the divine artifact is in our hands, why should we hand it over to you? Who do you think you are? Get out of here, or don't blame me for not showing mercy. Feng Tian Palace Master shouted. His eyes were full of mockery. All right. Looks like Feng Tian Palace is really going to war with the Vanga League. The one-armed old man's face was distorted. He looked extremely ferocious. War. All right. I'll do as you wish. Beat him up. I'll take responsibility if he dies or cripples. Feng Tian Palace Master shouted. Hearing this, the 8 elders immediately attacked the one-armed old man. The one-armed old man did not expect Feng Tian Palace Master to really attack him. His face was full of panic. The reason for that was because the strength of each of the 8 elders was not inferior to his. In other words, he was here to be tortured. Back to Qin Feiyang. Although Willow Tree and Yu Huang's injuries were recovering, he still did not leave. As for the divine artifact, he was not in the mood to care about it. Time passed little by little. About an hour later, Yu Huang and Willow Tree finally woke up. However, they were still very weak. They could only barely open their eyes. "It's good that you're fine." This was Willow Tree's first sentence when he woke up. He was talking to Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang was extremely touched. He laughed and scolded, "You're about to die, and you're still thinking about me?" Willow Tree laughed and said, "Aren't I fine?" But his face was pale. The situation was obviously not as good as he said. Qin Feiyang supported Willow Tree and let him sit cross-legged on the ground. He smiled and said, "Don't talk first, take care of your injuries." "Okay." Willow Tree nodded. Qin Feiyang squatted on the ground again, holding Yu Huang in his hands, and said gratefully, "Thank you." "Why are you thanking us?" "If you really want to thank us, give us a few more divine artifacts." Yu Huang grinned. Qin Feiyang's face darkened. He had just woken up and he was already thinking about divine artifacts. Was he a miser? "You can't bear to." "I knew you were a stingy person." Yu Huang pursed his lips. Qin Feiyang was helpless. But suddenly, he suddenly stood up, and a cold light surged in his eyes. "What's wrong?" Yu Huang was shocked. Qin Feiyang said in a deep voice, "A divine mind suddenly locked onto the ancient castle. Could it be that the people from the Vanga League found out that we're not dead and came after us?" Everyone was surprised. Willow Tree and Yu Huang were also very worried. Qin Feiyang put Yu Huang on the ground and said with a smile, "You guys take care of your injuries, I will take care of it." "Qin Feiyang, is that you?" A voice could be heard. This voice? It doesn't sound malicious. Everyone was stunned. "If it's you, please come out for a while. I have something to discuss with you." The voice sounded again. "Do what you need to do, I will go out and take a look." Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed slightly as he looked at everyone. "Young master, this may be a trap, you have to be careful." The 6 elders said. Willow Tree said, "But this voice, it sounds familiar." "It's okay." Qin Feiyang smiled at the 6 elders and left the ancient castle. He stood above a forest and looked at the void opposite him. In the void opposite him stood a burly man in black. His aura was unfathomable. Qin Feiyang secretly became vigilant. Because he found that this person's aura was comparable to the one-armed old man. "It's really you." When the burly man in black saw Qin Feiyang, there was a hint of surprise on his face. "Who are you?" Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows. "Oh my, I forgot to introduce myself." Chapter 1599. Li Yuan. The 10th Elder. Qin Feiyang was stunned. He raised his eyebrows and asked, "What are you doing here?" As he spoke, his eyes flashed coldly. Li Yuan quickly waved his hand and said, "Brother, don't misunderstand. I don't mean any harm. I'm here to cooperate with you." Cooperation? Qin Feiyang was surprised. One had to know. Not long ago, he killed the Grand Elder of the Palace of Fengtian and extorted a huge sum of money from the Palace of Fengtian. Now, they were here to talk about cooperation. Li Yuan said, "Don't worry. We won't play dirty tricks behind your back like the Vanga League. I'm just wondering. I killed your people and stole your artifacts. Don't you hate me?" Qin Feiyang said. Li Yuan smiled and said, "There are no eternal enemies in this world. There are only eternal benefits. Brother, am I right?" "Ah." Qin Feiyang was stunned. He nodded and smiled. "That's true. All right, I agree to cooperate with you." Li Yuan was overjoyed. Originally, he thought that Qin Feiyang would decline or make some conditions, but he didn't expect him to agree so readily. So much so that he couldn't use any of the words he had thought of to persuade Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang said, "Tell me, how do we cooperate and what do I get in return? Let's work together to destroy the Vanga League. After destroying the Vanga League, the Palace of Fengtian will help you destroy the Tianyang Empire." Li Yuan smiled. Qin Feiyang said, "You guys have a good plan. After destroying the Vanga League, the Palace of Fengtian can unify the Black Tortoise world and become the only overlord." "Yes." Li Yuan nodded. He didn't hide anything. Qin Feiyang nodded and smiled. "I like people like you. Unlike those hypocrites in the Vanga League. Just looking at them makes me sick." Li Yuan smiled awkwardly. Although he was praised by Qin Feiyang, he couldn't bring himself to be happy. This was because there was more or less a derogatory element in it. Qin Feiyang asked, "Can you represent Fengtian Palace and its palace master?" Li Yuan was taken aback and asked suspiciously, "Why do you ask?" Qin Feiyang said, "Since it's a cooperation, it must be mutually beneficial." Li Yuan said, "Didn't I say earlier that my Fengtian Palace will help you destroy the Heavenly Sun Empire?" "Not enough." Qin Feiyang shook his head. "Then what else do you want?" Li Yuan asked. He was rather perturbed. "Don't ask for too much again." Qin Feiyang said, "If you can make the decision, I'll talk with you. Otherwise, it's just a waste of time." This, Li Yuan hesitated. If it were anyone else, he would have dared to make the decision. But now he was facing Qin Feiyang. Who knew what kind of outrageous demands he would make? With this thought in mind, Li Yuan smiled and said, "Since that's the case, then you should talk to the palace master face to face. Then lead the way." Qin Feiyang said. "Brother, you're such a straightforward person. Please." Li Yuan opened a teleportation door and retreated to the side. Qin Feiyang took a step forward and walked in. After Qin Feiyang entered, Li Yuan hurriedly followed. The next moment, Qin Feiyang landed in the air above a mountain peak. This was the place where Li Yuan and the palace master of Fengtian Palace had discussed an hour ago. Standing in the sky, Qin Feiyang scanned the mountains and rivers below. Giant peaks towered into the sky, exuding a majestic aura. Mountain stream. The grass and trees were vigorous, and the fierce beasts were galloping. A black river ran across the entire mountain, connecting to the Black Ocean on the other side. At the top of each giant peak, there was a great hall of an ancient castle. It was like an ancient beast lying on the top of the mountain, releasing an aura that made one's heart palpitate. And in those great halls, Qin Feiyang could clearly sense a terrifying aura. These auras were almost all false gods. This was a very terrifying place. However, what surprised Qin Feiyang the most was the Black River and the Black Ocean. Why was it so strange? At the same time, the palace master of Fengtian Palace was still standing on the top of the mountain. However, the elders had already left. But the one-armed old man was still there. At this moment, he was like a dead dog, lying on the ground in a sorry state, his body dripping with blood. As soon as Qin Feiyang appeared, the two of them sensed him and immediately looked at Qin Feiyang. It settled so quickly. The palace master of Fengtian Palace was stunned, then a smile crept onto his face. How is that possible? The one-armed old man had a look of disbelief. Wasn't this person dead? Seeing Qin Feiyang looking at the sea in the distance, Li Yuan whispered, "Brother, the palace master is waiting for you below, and there's another surprise." Surprise? Qin Feiyang was stunned. He looked down at the top of the mountain. When he saw the one-armed old man, his eyes were filled with murderous intent. Whoosh! He landed on the top of the mountain and kicked the one-armed old man's penis without saying a word. Ah! The one-armed old man immediately let out a miserable howl. He covered his crotch and kept rolling on the ground. Li Yuan landed next to the palace master and snickered. "It hurts just looking at him." The palace master shook his head and smiled. "He has agreed to cooperate." "Yes. But he seems to have a request and wants to talk to you face to face," Li Yuan said. "As expected." The palace master smiled faintly. "My lord, what's going on? Didn't you say that you only wanted to humiliate him? Why did you cripple him?" Li Yuan looked at the one-armed old man and asked suspiciously. "I only wanted to humiliate him and let him go. But after thinking about it, since I have to deal with the Vanga League sooner or later, I might as well take this opportunity to take him down. In this way, I will have one less powerful opponent when I face the Vanga League head-on in the future. At the same time, take it as a greeting gift for Qin Feiyang." The palace master smiled. "This is a good greeting gift." Li Yuan smiled secretly. The one-armed old man almost killed Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang must hate him to the core. And this point. It could be seen from Qin Feiyang's current behavior. Therefore, this undoubtedly deepened their cooperation. "Why aren't you dead?" The one-armed old man was in excruciating pain and roared angrily. "Do you want me to die so badly? It's a pity. I just can't die. I wonder if you've heard of this saying. Cleverness overreaches itself. If you didn't plot against me in the Qinyang Mountains, we might have formed an alliance and eliminated Fengtian Palace together. But you pushed me to Fengtian Palace. Facing the anger of me in Fengtian Palace, I'm really curious. Can your Vanga League survive?" Qin Feiyang sneered. "What? You formed an alliance with Fengtian Palace?" The one-armed old man's eyes trembled. Qin Feiyang and Fengtian Palace teamed up. This was a disaster for the Vanga League. "Yes. We formed an alliance. I have to thank you for your help. Otherwise, I wouldn't have found this opportunity." The palace master of Fengtian Palace smiled. The one-armed old man forgot his pain. His heart was shrouded by a shadow of despair. The palace master of Fengtian Palace smiled coldly and looked at Qin Feiyang. "Little brother, do you want to kill him?" "No hurry." Qin Feiyang waved his hand and stepped on the one-armed old man. He looked at the palace master and said, "I have 2 requests." "Speak." The palace master of Fengtian Palace said. Qin Feiyang said, "First, the Vanga League and the Tianyang Empire's treasure trove and herb fields will all belong to me." "No problem." The palace master of Fengtian Palace nodded without hesitation. Although the Vanga League and the Tianyang Empire's wealth was huge and tempting, it was nothing compared to unifying the Black Tortoise world. When Fengtian Palace unifies the Black Tortoise world, all the resources in the Black Tortoise world would belong to Fengtian Palace. As long as Qin Feiyang was satisfied, it didn't matter what he wanted. Second, when I leave the Black Tortoise world, I don't care what Fengtian Palace is planning, but you must give Willow Tree and the 6 elders a place to live. And promise that you will never harm them. Of course, before I leave, I will remind them not to offend Fengtian Palace." Qin Feiyang said. "As long as they don't stir up trouble, I can promise that I will not harm them." The palace master of Fengtian Palace pondered for a while and smiled at Qin Feiyang. "Alright, let our alliance begin," Qin Feiyang said. "Then I wish us a happy cooperation." The palace master of Fengtian Palace smiled and extended his hand. "Happy cooperation." Qin Feiyang also extended his hand and shook hands with the palace master of Fengtian Palace. "It's over," the one-armed old man murmured. Qin Feiyang's foundation was already terrifying enough. He had 8 false gods under his command and a divine artifact. Coupled with the palace master of Fengtian Palace, would the Vanga League be able to stop them? Just thinking about it made his scalp tingle. He hurriedly said, "Qin Feiyang, let's work together." The palace master of Fengtian Palace and Li Yuan raised their eyebrows. Qin Feiyang pursed his lips and said lightly, "There's no medicine for regret in this world. I know, I've gone overboard. But now, I know I was wrong. And I can promise you that the benefits you get from working with the Vanga League will be much greater than working with the palace master of Fengtian Palace." The one-armed old man said. "Is that so?" Qin Feiyang looked at him mockingly. "Yes, yes, yes. I can also promise you that after we get rid of the palace master of Fengtian, Willow Tree will be on the same level as the Vanga League. In fact, I can even give you 2 more divine artifacts after this is done." The one-armed old man said. The palace master of Fengtian Palace and Li Yuan became nervous when they heard this. Qin Feiyang was stunned and said, "So, the Vanga League has a lot of divine artifacts?" "Yes." The one-armed old man nodded. "Not bad, not bad." Qin Feiyang laughed and turned to look at the palace master of Fengtian Palace. He said, "The Vanga League's divine artifacts." He stopped halfway through his sentence. The palace master of Fengtian Palace was puzzled at first. He did not know what Qin Feiyang was trying to say. But with Li Yuan's reminder, he suddenly understood. He looked at Qin Feiyang and said with a smile, "Don't worry, I promised the palace master of Fengtian Palace that I won't fight with you for it." At the same time, he was secretly relieved. It seemed that Qin Feiyang would not change his mind now. "Okay." Qin Feiyang nodded and looked down at the one-armed old man. He said, "What do you think after hearing our plan?" "You said it deliberately for me to hear." The one-armed old man was stunned. "That's right. I want you to taste the despair of knowing our plan but being unable to stop it. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.